Hello everyone, it's Candy Grand Prix. Um, so this video that I'm going to talk about is I would like y'all to be able. I hope I can explain it as best as I can. And it's a long video I'm going to talk about, and I don't even know if I should set it to being restricted to 18 and over, or if I should just, I mean, I don't know what's the difference between the video being set to 18 and over, or video being just, not made for kids. It's not made for kids. This video is not made for kids. But at the same time, um, it talks about kids, but it's not made for kids to watch, So I know a, a wider audience can't be reached if I put this video in 18 and over only. I know some adults, they have, the sensitive restrictions. So, I mean, I guess I'm going to just take a risk and talk about this video and just put it up on not made for kids, but, I won't restrict it to 18 or over, because it's not a porn exposed, it's not porn or anything like that, but it's just not made for kids, but it talks about kids. So this video I'm going to talk about, and it's going to get me in a lot of trouble, but I'm scared, but feel like as if I must tell the truth. I mean, this is my the best that I remember and the best I can explain it. And this, I warn you, this is going to be a long video. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I know it's going to be a long video. So with this video, okay, all right. I see that Hollywood is, some people are saying defund Hollywood. And Jaguar Wright is one of the people exposing the truth about, the Hollywood industry at this moment. And she's, I never heard of her until, a couple of weeks ago. And she's been exposing a lot of different things in Hollywood, even though I don't know. She probably saying everything the best of her, she's saying everything like the best way she can describe it in her experience. And there are a lot of other people who've been trying to get the truth out with Hollywood. But evil, we all know that there's more to evil than just Hollywood. Hollywood, government, evil can be in your own household. The devil and evil is in your own household. And so I'm targeting individual and gang stalking. Yeah, that's evil that they just keep allowing, and it's done secretive by masses amounts of people. And it seems like nowadays evil is increasing because Satan, he knows his time is up, and he knows that he knows his time is up, and he knows that people are waking up to the truth, but at the same time it's more evil going on. Less people are trying to get right with God, and more and more people turn into the side of evil. And me, I'm glad and thankful I came from out of evil. But I don't want to, I didn't know what was going on growing up. So I'm trying to now that I know the truth, on the right path, to truth, even though I don't know all the truth and I don't know everything. We can't know everything, but as much as I can, and it's like, if I'm already targeted and slated for death anyway, I want to air out everything. So, if it's like, I know Jaguar Wright talked a lot about Aaliyah growing up, and a lot of people questioned about Aaliyah. And Choice TV, he spoke about Aaliyah and Barry Hankerson and all those people. And I'm just saying, what I observed, what I researched, what I heard, and certain things I've experienced in my personal life. So this video I'm talking about Masonic mothers who pimp out their daughters, to grown men. And it's sad that sometimes the boys get sold too, but and the boys topic is swept under the rug. Your sons are being sold too. And dads probably selling their sons. And so, remember last year with the R. Kelly and Gayle King interview? And R. Kelly, sicko R. Kelly. But I heard that he's been abused also. He's been abused. He's been a victim of abuse also. And if he's been a victim of abuse, and people say, well, hurt people hurt people. So people who are hurt other people. And I used to be one of those hurt people. I used to hurt people. But then I said, I don't want to do that no more. I got a certain age and said, I don't want to do that no more. Because I can't stand seeing another person suffer. I mean, and it just nags my conscience and bothers me and eats me up. So when R. Kelly said, when R. Kelly was abused by more than one person, and I think I heard his own sister used to rape him and his brother, Carrie Kelly. But then Carrie Kelly, I mean, we don't know, but I haven't heard of Carrie Kelly hurting other people. But R. Kelly, he was raped by his own sister, and he had this weird ass and obsession with his mom. Seemed too close to be normal. So I don't know if his mom was raping him or not, but I heard like sites like Lipstick Alley and a few other websites, maybe YouTube comments, that said that R. Kelly, that it's a mystery who his real dad is, and they jumped to they concluded, and it could be wrong, it could be right, but they said that R. Kelly's mom's dad, which is his grandpa, probably could be his dad, and that would fuck anybody up in the head. If R. Kelly's mom, was raped by the dad and then got pregnant and then out come the kids or whatever, I don't know how that would have gone, but excuse my profanity or whatever. I should try to not curse so much, because I mean, even though I have Tourette's and stuff, but I don't want to turn people off, so R. Kelly's, he probably was abused and stuff like that. And I heard about multi-generational abuse and multi-generational incest, in families, especially in the occult and Freemasonry and secret societies and esotericism, New Age, and whatever weirdness that's contrary to the Holy Bible. So I had to learn about Satanism. They pretty much do everything that God hates, but yet want to try to be like God. you know, or think they can kick God out and replace him, and then mock and make fun of him, but God is not mocked, and they're going to reap what they sowed. So R. Kelly, you know, speaking of Masonic parents pimping out their kids, he said that they bring the kids to him, you know, and so, and people try to talk about how people can be, you know, get away with evil so long is because the one thing, like these new age people, they, one thing about the new age movement, why it's so dangerous, is they want, new age movement is a strong delusion, and they want you to live opposite of reality. That's what I had to learn. So if you're being gang stalked, then a new ager would be like, well, stop believing you're gang stalked, because if you keep believing it, then it's gonna keep happening to you. So think in your mind you're not being gang stalked or something like that, you know. So I'm like, I'm not gonna say I'm not being gang stalked when there's a one headlight in a red truck, Chevy Silverado truck right in front of my face, like wanting to blind my eyes. They want to put themselves in my face, you know. So you can't, you know, I'm not trying, I don't want to deny reality, deny what I know is real. And then that's how these new age thinkers are dangerous. They're the dangerous ones, not the Christians. The new agers are. And the Satanism, who deny, I mean, the Satanist people, they deny reality. Occultists. And they want their deeds to go unpunished. And they tell me I have to suffer consequences for my bad behavior. Exposing truth is not bad behavior. But nowadays, you know, when people said different things about the entertainment industry, it's 2020, and if they say something that happened in the 90s, and they're like, well, why didn't you break out and say something in the 90s so nobody's going to believe you? You're crazy and you're clout chasing. But that's not really the case, you know. Sometimes they were younger and maybe didn't understand and couldn't wrap their head around what's going on. You know, or they being like, oh, they wait till they're irrelevant and wait until the money's not coming in. Once the money dried up, and now they want to start speaking the truth. Or they were down with that deal too. They probably were never down with it in the first place, because all this bullying and forcing and threatening and drugging you up and having you under mind control. Mind control is real. So when people try to say that Raz B from B2K was clout chasing, I think they had him reprogrammed and re-educated, because now he talks like as if everything's good. And even J-Boog from B2K was he was the first who publicly spoke in 2004 about being raped and about being in a cult. And he was the first speaking out. J-Boog from B2K. And now what upsets me now is J-Boog is back to working with shit strokes. Chris Stokes. I know Marcus Houston is his cousin, but what did they do to him? He's 2 years younger than me. How old is he? I'm 37. He just turned 35. And he's part of that fake Jehovah's Witness cult that made me mad. And him, Marcus Houston, and Chris Stokes, they're all close friends now. And it's like, I think he's the only B2K member who's working with Chris Stokes, and they're not doing music anymore, but they're working behind the scenes or working with some Netflix and stuff like that. So I mean, I would have thought that J-Boog would have been the strongest one or the most outspoken one, you know, but it turned out to be Raz B. But then he was, I know last year during the Scream tour, the Millennium Tour, whatever that's called, Millennium Tour, Raz B said that he didn't want to, he wanted to reunite with his bandmates, but was too scared because he knew Chris Stokes would be around, and he didn't feel comfortable with that. And Chris Stokes is Raz B's cousin, and so it's like, so if I think that Raz B is a targeted individual, I think Monique Slaughter, who used to date Lil Fizz, I think she might be targeted too, because they kept calling her crazy, and and she didn't even speak out anything Illuminati. All she did was speak out was how Lil Fizz treated her. They call her crazy and obsessed and stuff like that. And that's what when you try to speak the truth about your chief abuser or some other people who are abusing you, and you get called the crazy obsessed stalker, so that I guess they can deflect and gaslight and take the focus off of the truth or whatever that you're trying to get out. And then they have their lies and slander and the smear campaigns doctored up. And then after a while, people start to say Monique was right. So I don't even much watch TV but sometimes every once in a while, certain TV shows will pop up on my YouTube or whatever. Or, certain people might have their own videos like how I'm talking. And then I just go straight to the comments sometimes. And sometimes I watch the video, sometimes I don't. But depends on how important I feel it is and if I have the spare opportunity to watch it, But people treating me so mean so much and blocking me everywhere. I hardly watch YouTube videos as much as I used to, but then I save them in case I want to watch them or feel like it's important, like something dire to these crises going on in the world. So, Donald Trump is talking about draining the swamp and stuff like that. And then they have all these people who make you, like, Donald Trump he's the president of the United States, but he's his own cult leader, and he has a cult following. And the truth is, I've read, I have to go back and find them, but he was in Hollywood too, wasn't he? Or he was famous back then, So Donald Trump is controlled opposition, and everything, they say all the world is a stage. So the conspiracyarchive.org website, I think it was. This is a conspiracy archive. I don't remember if it was .org or .com or .net. But I just remember it said conspiracy archive. And you see all the Donald Trump and the Masonic hand signs and stuff, and y'all still say that he's a Christian and of the truth. He proudly flaunts off his Masonic allegiance. So I heard that, my throat is feeling tired from talking so loud. I guess I didn't realize I was talking so loud, but my throat is starting to feel exhausted. Maybe I need to try to talk lower, but I'm getting all excited and stuff like that. But straining my vocal cords. But anyway, I'm gonna try to practice. I know y'all can hear me. I'm gonna try to practice not talking so loud. But Donald Trump, I heard, is an MK Ultra mind control handler. Some people try to, play victim for him and be like, Donald Trump is a targeted individual being gang star. No, he ain't. He's one of them. He's not on our side. They keep playing with us about the stimulus check. Donald Trump is the reason why people are increasingly talking about narcissism and narcissistic abusers and stuff. And so Donald Trump is all about himself. And, he wants people to worship him. Some people call him an antichrist, or they'll say he's the last Trump or the last president. That his last name is not really Trump, but Trump or something like that. And I heard, is a mind control handler, and incestuous and a pedophile and rapes his own daughter. So so it's like Trump, people who worship Trump are ready to attack you if you say one little bad thing about him, no matter how small. They can defend and idolize Trump and yet say that they're Christian. So this video, when R. Kelly said that the women, or could be the dads too, bring their daughters to him. And I read on, I don't read Lipstick Alley as much anymore after what happened to me last year. But I don't read gossip sites really anymore like I used to. And I don't even know if they exist anymore. But so I just stick with YouTube with reading the comments on certain YouTube videos. And I know from past research and certain websites and stuff that, if there's a talk about, Aaliyah is the main one to get picked on about the transgender issue, the tranny issue, and the transvestigation. She's the first called out as that people call a tranny. But at the same time, she's one of the first to be called out as somebody who was considered one of those fast little young girls. Fast, hot, and slutty. Or an underage thought. Or whatever, So if she was considered an underage whore over one person, but it was, I don't even know. Some people would be like, why even waste your time over on these, fictitious celebrities or whatever. But, I was a diehard fan of Aaliyah, and I used to study her, wanting to know everything about her life. And I was lied to about her, about a lot of things up until 2010. That's when truth started to be shown to me about her. But that was before I found out the truth about the Bible and other things. A lot of people say social media hurts, but it can be helpful too. A lot of people are waking up to the truth because of social media. And if I didn't have social, like Twitter and stuff in my life, I don't know if I would have ended up finding out the truth. The internet is how I found out I was in a cult. And that the foster system is bad. The foster care system. So anyway, so Aaliyah was one of the first people who, well, not the first, but one of the main people, excuse me, one of the main people being talked about and called a hoe. And I would try to defend, and I'd be like, no, she was not a whore, And I was brainwashed into believing she was a hoe when I was younger. And that's what the mainstream media put that image in our head, that she was a hoe and sleeping around with all these men. And I'm like, no, she was not a whore. She was under MK Ultra mind control. And, Jaguar Wright is now talking about not just Aaliyah, but a lot of she's coming by slowly talking about entertainment industry artists and stuff like that. And so, I remember, everybody talks about Diddy. Watch out for Diddy, Sean Diddy Combs, who changes his name like every day. Sean Combs. Next thing you know, his name is going to be Fartman. Sean Fartman Combs or something. He changes his name. So, the man who changes his name too many times, that's narcissistic abuse. But it could be his multiple personalities too. He's under MK Ultra too. But at the same time, he's a big devil and a handler. And even Jaguar Wright has been exposing Clive Davis, one of the big ones. So big Clive Davis, And I heard Phyllis Hyman spoke out against him. You know, and that was eerie that I passed by the same hotel Whitney Houston was killed at. I passed, on the bus, I passed by that Beverly Hilton Hotel. I never been inside of it, never went there, but I've passed by there through Beverly Hills to get to the beach in Santa Monica very often. There was a point in time I was going to the beach every day. Not to get in the water every day, but, just going to the beach every day just to get out the house and stuff. That was before I found out I was gang stalked. But anyway, so other people too, it started, I don't know, other people have been trying to get bits of truth out here and there, so I don't think Aaliyah ever signed up for or wanted to be a hoe. And she was a young child under MK Ultra, and I heard that her parent, not her dad, but her mom and uncle were Aaliyah's mom and uncle, Barry Hankerson. I wonder if Barry Hankerson had Miss Diane Houghton, Aaliyah's mom, under some control too, because I don't even know if Barry could have been Diane's handler. And a lot of people don't believe it, but the truth came out about R. Kelly and Aaliyah and the threesomes. Aaliyah being an underage child with the threesomes with the mom and R. Kelly. And so, Aaliyah, they said that she's been groomed since she was 6. And since she was 6 years old, she's been groomed. And she'd been groomed since she was 6 years old. And realized she can sing when she was 6 years old. And I remember long before I found out about the Illuminati, the public said that she was groomed for stardom. Those magazines or websites said she was groomed for stardom, but they made grooming sound like a good thing and not a bad thing. So she was groomed for stardom. I remember I got attacked by Aaliyah's websites and called disrespectful and went into a depression. I was a die-hard fan even in 2007, but not anymore after finding out the truth. But I still respect and love Aaliyah. But I don't look up to her anymore because now I have Jesus. So anyway, I got attacked and called a narcissist, and I got told that I had borderline personality disorder. I got called crazy. I just got attacked and blocked and just devoured just for saying that, well, is it true that Aaliyah was molested by her uncle, Barry Hankerson, when she was 8 years old? And I heard that she was repeatedly molested by him. And I heard that he was her main handler, her uncle. And, that book by, I think his name was Christopher John Farley. He wrote a book called More Than a Woman, and there were a few other books, like another book called, I don't remember what it was entitled, but it's a book by somebody named Kelly Kenyatta. And they made everything sound like a good thing. Certain things spoken about her, you had clues to her MK Ultra mind control programming. And they said that Aaliyah had Lolita quality. And they said Lolita was like considered a fast young girl or whatever. But you hear about Miss Diane Houghton pushing Aaliyah up and calling her a hot 10-year-old. And Aaliyah, she said, I was a hot when I was 10. She said she said that her mom said she was a hot 10-year-old. And she was like, oh, I was hot when I was 10. And so everybody had this uncomfortable laugh, like, ha ha ha, but they were all looked at her kind of weird. Even the guy, I think it was Craig Kilborn or somebody, I don't remember who it was interviewing her. I don't remember what show it was, but he even looked at her like, what? Whatever, so But the show went on right after, and all this truth coming. People still want to know more about her death, and everybody's talking about how her death impacted everybody's lives. Everybody being emotionally attached to her and stuff so heavily, and I was one of those people. And then some people will say, "Oh, she's a tranny and she's still alive," and that's just all deception. Y'all been fooled and stuff, and she's not dead. Or they'll say she's now the mayor of Washington D.C. or mayor of the state of Maryland. That she's a white man now, or that she's this person named Natalie LaRose, or they'll say she's just governor in Michigan, or whatever weirdness they try to say. They try to say that they say the same thing. They've been saying the same thing about Tupac and Michael Jackson, that they're still alive and stuff like that. And so or they'll say, oh, the real Aaliyah didn't die, but she just went underground and she's been cloned or whatever. But they'll say she been running, that it was the clone that y'all saw that died, not the real one. All kinds of stuff that they say. So when the idea of Aaliyah did have a few boyfriends or whatever, but y'all can tell that she was the type of person who was like more like innocent and quiet. But then by the time she became famous and was with sicko R. Kelly, you can tell he forced her to be something she wasn't. That was not the natural Aaliyah. To wear sunglasses and put on that thug image. That was not her. And him pushing that, him forcing that, that thug, intimidating, frightening looking thug image, on a female, or was supposed to be a female. And then, everybody ignores me and nobody believes me when I try to show that when somebody told me about it, that Aaliyah and R. Kelly have a secret daughter together named Angel Nicole Kelly Houghton. Excuse me. And I mean, if I posted on YouTube, they would censor my whole video if I posted it in the description box, because then they'll try to make it like as if I'm spamming. So, if you want me to show y'all about Aaliyah and R. Kelly's supposed daughter, I can put my email in the description box and send y'all the link, with the links with an S to what I'm talking about, and y'all can read for yourselves. And a lot of times the truth gets ignored, but the girl doesn't want to come out and say, yeah, I'm Aaliyah and R. Kelly's parents. I'm Aaliyah and R. Kelly's daughter, because I don't want to put her life in danger either. But even though she denies that those are her parents, but so I don't want to say too much, but if you want to see what I'm talking about, I can put my email link. I can put my email address in the description box, and y'all can. I don't know how many people are gonna get to see this video, but excuse me. So then, in one moment, Aaliyah was under, and not only her, a lot of them were under. A lot of the celebrities were under heavy. The mind control was strong, so strong. Mind control, black magic, witchcraft, voodoo. They said R. Kelly was into Obeah rituals, which y'all seen, the pissing on the young girls and forcing them to drink his urine and eat feces. Those are occult rituals. What they exposed on surviving R. Kelly. And they said Damon Dash was one of Aaliyah's handlers too. And Jay-Z were her handlers too. And whore Beyonce under MK Ultra, Lady Gaga, Rihanna, Doja Cat, Cardi B, even the guys, they're all under mind control, but you don't have to be in Hollywood or famous in order to be under mind control or to be pimped or have Masonic affiliation. I mean, the singer Monica, even one of her sons I saw on Instagram using the devil horns too, the younger one. And then the older one, people would thought that Monica was going to sacrifice him. And people say Monica and Brandy, that death is always like anybody associated with them is always death also. And there's a lot of death associated with Tiny and T.I. also. And Toya, who's from New Orleans, she blood sacrificed one or two of her brothers. I don't want to get it mixed up. It was blood sacrifice too. So and I don't even much watch, TV or whatever, but they pop up as suggestions on my feed or whatever. And so y'all notice that with Brandy and Monica, nobody called C Murder a pedophile. They said Monica was underage when C Murder supposedly got her pregnant. And we don't know what happened to that baby. And I don't know about Brandy getting pregnant. But nobody, it was in the news a little bit. But about Brandy and Wanye. Wanye was much older. I don't remember how much. Wanye from Boys to Men. But nobody was blown up so big and so heavy and so scandalous like Aaliyah and R. Kelly. That was blown up. And so, anybody connected with evil ass Barry Hankerson, I don't even care to, I wouldn't go back and rebuy, those albums. People saying free Aaliyah music, and they want her music, the unreleased songs to come out, and they want some of the music, the One in a Million album and her last album, and I think Romeo Must Die soundtrack. They want that music to come out, and so they want the music, to be on Spotify, and they want to be able to download them and everything. But it's not good enough to be just, watched on YouTube. But some people want to own those albums again. And so there's big scandal with that. And not just Barry Hankerson destroying, other people. Aaliyah, but his own niece. And he set her up to get killed. And, I already had a bad encounter with Rashad Horton. But that was before I found out the truth. Rashad, I did a video on him last year, but that whole channel got taken down for other reasons. So I even seen, Rashad is part of them too, with the Masonic hand signs and devil horns and as above, so below, and he's a narcissistic abuser. And the cousin Blair is evil too. She wasn't nice, and so that family ain't right. So they were more dysfunctional than I thought, but I thought I was initially led on to believe that they were all close and loved each other. But I didn't realize they had such, it's not supposed to really be our business, but they were some celebrity family. Even Gladys Knight said Barry Hankerson is evil. And, so, and, Aaliyah, they try to make like she was a fast teenager and sleeping, that she was loose in the pants, and that R. Kelly turned her out to be a hoe and being a bisexual whore, sleeping around with boys and girls. And I remember in 2002, if it wasn't in Vibe magazine, it was somewhere I read in some magazine, an interview, like that was when it was blown up out of proportion in 2002 about R. Kelly and the sex tapes and stuff. And so, one of the girls was asked if Aaliyah was part of this like the underage child sex trafficking. and she didn't want to out Aaliyah like that, and especially after Aaliyah had died. But she didn't want to put Aaliyah out like that. But it's like, I know what it's like, to to not want to put somebody out like that, And then I saw in some YouTube comments on some video within the past couple of weeks, they said that R. Kelly used to use Aaliyah to kidnap. I'm like, Aaliyah looked too innocent to be a criminal. But it makes me think of Bryce Taylor, Thanks for the Memories. It seemed like Aaliyah's life seemed kind of like that a little bit. And also the Black Swan movie. Vigilant Citizens Analysis on Sucker Punch and the Black Swan, VigilantCitizen.com, seems similar to Aaliyah's life or the MK life, the MK Ultra life. So, if a child had been abused, it's not their fault, But Aaliyah had somebody said that R. Kelly used to use Aaliyah to kidnap other kids into the cult, and they said Jocelyn Savage and Azriel Clary, they were also they were also Jocelyn Savage and Azriel Clary were used to kidnap young girls for R. Kelly and stuff. I wonder, how did they do that? As little bitty as Aaliyah is, how could she, I don't know, she might have had demonic superpowers or superhuman strength to capture another girl and kidnap her and throw her in a car or something. I don't know how that went down or whatever, but I just heard, but Bryce Taylor admitted that she herself, Bryce Taylor, whose real name is Sue Ford or something, Bryce Taylor with the Thanks for the Memories book, she was under mind control, and she said that she was used to kidnap kids too. I mean, she was a child, So, I heard that when Miss Diane Houghton grooming Aaliyah into the industry, I heard that she had to, be sexy at a young age or sexual at a young age, and she was taught how to be sexual at a young age, and that's what you have to do in order to be successful, And I heard that Mr. Michael Houghton supposedly didn't much know anything until later on, and then, they said it ate him up, and they said Mr. Michael Houghton had died of a broken heart. There was a point in time when Aaliyah was 15 or 16 or something, and he was briefly her manager at one point. I don't know what happened with that. But then people try to say that Rashad was the only one who had Aaliyah's best interest at heart. But she was well, if you really had Aaliyah's best interest at heart, I heard about the NDAs, the non-disclosure agreements. And some people say, well, Aaliyah was very strong to still stay happy and go through what she went through. Or they say, she was very sad before she died. That she was very sad. But some people say behind closed doors, Aaliyah went very crazy before her death or something like that. I don't know. But if she went, we didn't hear, the public didn't hear about it. But, some of these, like, conspiracy forums like David Icke website and Godlike Productions, and Vigilant Citizen used to have a forum. So on some of those websites, it's like they had some good ass information on it too. And now you can't even find that information, on they was Aaliyah an MK Ultra victim. And it's hard to even find that. You can't even find that on David Icke forums anymore. But it gives a breakdown on her MK Ultra life, how it went down. And so And somebody said that every boyfriend Aaliyah had, that to further Aaliyah's mind control and trauma and shock, that Miss Diane would sleep with all of Aaliyah's boyfriends when she was a teenager and stuff. Damn. And what's that? Lisa Van Allen said that that Aaliyah's she said that on DJ Vlad, she said that Aaliyah would fall asleep while in the bedroom while Miss Diane Horton would have sex with R. Kelly on the couch at night while Aaliyah was sleeping. It sounded like it happened quite often. But, you know, Jaguar Wright, when she explained one of her videos, well, it's probably more than one, she didn't really explain it right, because she made it like as if she was defending Aaliyah's mom and stuff like that. Like as if Aaliyah's mom didn't know what was going on. Well, she was trying to say that basically they send the parents off in one room while the I guess the guy who's training, which should be R. Kelly, send Aaliyah in the room alone while they do a whole bunch of stuff while the parents are oblivious. But I heard that they were forced to sign, NDAs and stuff, like non-disclosure agreements, that they were not allowed to speak anything. And then you hear about the Masonic oath, that if you break the oath to tell the truth, your throat will get cut out and stuff like that. And I don't remember what else will happen if you break the oath. But Aaliyah did not sell her own soul. Aaliyah did not sell her own soul. Don't blame, like, from what I've researched, some people say it was the parents, but other people say it was not, that Mr. Michael Horton did not really know, but it was more of Miss Diane and Barry and their conspiracy. And, there's this story that somebody wanted to write exposing Barry Hankerson and her experience with the industry. But, I haven't read it yet, but I plan to. And then Barry Hankerson had an Asian girlfriend. I don't even know how to pronounce her name. Kyme is her first name. I don't know if it's pronounced Kimmy, or it could be Kimmy or Kimi or Kime or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce her name. But her last name is Dang. And he blew up her car or something, or he did something really crazy to her. And then, a lot of people say that nobody had Aaliyah's best interests at heart. They all failed her at the end. They wanted her to die. And I said in the video when I was talking about Aaliyah's daughter, I said, well, they said Aaliyah kept silent. She kept quiet, and, maybe she was forced to front like everything was all great and like her family's close. And some people call it Stockholm Syndrome. Like, and so they said she was surrounded by a whole bunch of narcissists. I know from his personal experience, her brother Rashad is a narcissistic abuser and an asshole, So, they said that if Rashad really had Aaliyah's best interest at heart, he would have, some people are like, why didn't the dad or Rashad kick R. Kelly's ass or something? And I heard that Barry Hankerson and R. Kelly used to fight and never got along, but they said, some people say that the marriage was even fake. I don't know, because I didn't even watch Surviving R. Kelly, but I've seen a few comments here and there from other people's videos discussing, that documentary. And then Damon Dash, one picture, and there was like one or two pictures where I saw with Miss Diane, and Aaliyah was in the picture, and it looked like she had a smile. That was her because of the dimples or whatever. And Miss Diane, look, she had her hand. She was standing in front of Damon Dash, and had her hand over his face like this, like this, like as if, I wonder if, like that for years. Wow, look like as if It looked like as if that picture looked like as if my Miss Diane was in a relationship with Damon, and like in that same picture, Aaliyah looked like she tried to smile, like, and her face was all like mostly cut off, but you knew that was her, this little bit of side of her. I don't know why they cut Aaliyah out that picture, but you know you saw that dimple, you knew that was her, and then a little bit of her face, you know. So I need to go back and find that picture too. So some of y'all might know what I'm talking about. My stomach is hurting, but so then you know she had that song "Age Ain't but Nothing But a Number," and some people were saying it wasn't her fault. She didn't choose or select that. The handlers did. And they're blaming her and think that she got a lot of money in it. These celebrities don't have a lot of money like we thought. And I heard that they're living off of cash advances and credit and stuff, and they owe back a lot of money. You know, and they have to work for it by being forced to do all these albums once they, you know, the parents. Like Michael Jackson was 5 years old, and they called him evil, and they said that he knew what he wanted to do since he was a little boy, and that he was evil. And you know, I heard that Joe Jackson pimped them out, and they said that Katherine Jackson, you know, felt defenseless, like she wanted to defend her kids, but just felt defenseless and scared herself. But I haven't heard any stories about Joe Jackson beating on Katherine Jackson. But, you know, Michael Jackson, I remember reading a book, and they said that Joe Jackson tortured and beat. Michael was 5 years old and didn't even want to sign that contract. He was that young, and he didn't want to sign that contract. And Joe Jackson beat and tortured him until he caved in. That could have happened to Aaliyah or any of these other artists when they were little kids and their parents signed them over. And sometimes I heard that, you know, if your parents could be in some serious debt with some higher ups and then they give up their child, that's sad, really sad. So, I mean, my heart goes out to people who want to be free from abuse, from child abuse, or even if you're an adult being abused, even elderly abuse, all abuse, disabled abuse, child abuse, whatever, man abuse, woman abuse, whatever racial abuse, just whatever abuse, you know. So this is where I'm going to get in trouble at. So, speaking of this, the girls, a lot of people say, they try to excuse and defend R. Kelly. Sometimes they say if you're old enough to breed, you're old enough to bleed. I mean, no, if you're old enough to bleed, you're old enough to breed. That's their mentality sometimes. So sometimes they'd be like, well, you know, I've seen in the comments of mainly guys saying that, oh, Aaliyah really loved R. Kelly. Or this is where I think Jaguar Wright got it wrong. When she said, Damon loved Aaliyah. No, she didn't. I mean, no, he didn't. Because, everybody said that Damon was just using Aaliyah for his sacrifice. But then again, you know, some people say Damon was scapegoated. People are still trying to question who benefited from Aaliyah's death. You know, who benefited for real. And the night after, when I tweeted on Twitter, I said that it makes perfect sense that, because I heard that Miss Diane and Mr. Barry Hankerson weren't talking for a long time. I heard that they weren't talking for a while. And so this girl named Angie Solorio asked in one of those tiny chats or whatever back in 2010 or 2011, and she said, well, is Miss Diane and Mr. Barry, they're still not talking, you know, because Mr. Barry was to be blamed. Well, why didn't Miss Diane sue her own brother? Everybody wondered why other families sued this person and that person, sued the aviation and, you know, Aaliyah, her family was the last people to sue. And when Miss Diane and whoever, you know, sued, they sued Hype Williams. From what I remember reading, that they sued Hype Williams. Why didn't they sue? I mean, I don't know. Why didn't they sue Barry? You know, Miss Diane just was mad at him, and now Miss Rashad is hiding. They say he's active on Instagram, but he's hiding somewhere. The cousin Jomo admitted that Aaliyah was blackballed after R. Kelly and nobody wanted to really mess with her. But, you know, and I also heard that it wasn't until after the R. Kelly thing, they said that, and Aaliyah was still underage, keep in mind, you know, you're not old enough to consent. But Aaliyah was still underage, and they said that she was sworn to secrecy. You know what that means? You know, that she was sworn to secrecy. And so she kept out of the spotlight for a while, and I heard that the parents sent her over to Japan or whatever, and looked like she was doing some entertainment out there or whatever, and then came back to the States, and then so it's like some people wonder, you know, what mind control could have happened when Aaliyah disappeared, you know, after the R. Kelly thing, and then when by the time she was 17, and then came out with 1 in a Million, they wonder what reprogramming did happen to her, you know, after that. Like, what could they have done to her? And then she come back with 1 in a Million, and If Your Girl Only Knew, and they shunned her and booed her and stuff at the Apollo, and it took, and they blamed and scapegoated her and called her the hoe, and R. Kelly was glorified as, you know, I mean, R. Kelly just got away with everything, and nobody condemned him at the time. They were praising him while Aaliyah was getting shunned and called all kinds of names and hated by the media and stuff like that, and I even fell for that. But then I got older and had to research the truth and figure out things, and, you know, it's just fucked up that, you know, she was forced to stay silent with the NDA, and she was not allowed to tell her story. And they say she was strong, but I bet you she had a lot of hurt, and it's just really messed up what's going on. And when I said that it makes perfect sense that Mr. Barry, even though I was probably gang stalked before then and didn't know it, but I said it makes perfect sense that Mr. Barry was, you know, sacrificed his own daughter if he was the one who put her on a small plane, knowing that she hated that. And I heard that they used to threaten her with that, and she would have nightmares about it, you know. So when I mentioned that, people, after I mentioned that on Twitter in 2011, I think it was, and so then that's when people started peeping through my windows with a flashlight. And then I had ended up having like random rapes happen to me, even rape by a Freemason and stuff. That's still not over. Still disturbed by that and stuff. I mean, some of y'all already talked about this already, but for y'all who don't know, you know, so but I was already targeted since foster care, and I'm gonna talk about that too. You know, so people try to defend it and say that well, they try to make like it should be taken lightly, and they're like, what's the big deal if how y'all speaking on these industry people and it goes on in your own neighborhood? You know, they're like, they had these fast young girls who go after grown men, and nobody says anything in the hood, you know, and I mean the young girls who get pregnant and stuff. And what happens is a lot of the times, if the girl, sometimes a girl might, I mean, it goes either way, because if you have a parent or a grandparent that's extra lenient towards the girl, sometimes either way, the girl can grow up to be loose in the pants or whatever. But some people say a girl would be loose in the pants because they might have a relative, like a cousin, uncle, brother, or a brother's friend, who's secretly touching on them, like older brother or whatever, who has a friend that's secretly touching on them when they're really little, and then they get a certain age, and then, get a little bit of so-called freedom while the parents not looking, and go and, sleep with older men, and some people say that sexual predators know when a girl has been abused in the past, and well, when she's been traumatized, like as if they can spiritually see that, and then they go and re-abuse her all over again, or she ends up being a victim, all over again, So I mean, I grew up in the 90s in middle school. I was born in 1983. And so I'm 37 years old now. And back in the 90s, I mean, I went to school with 12-year-olds who were pregnant at 12 in junior high, having babies in the bathroom. And one time that white female special ed teacher, Miss Verga, she said that that she bragged about how one time a girl had went into labor, and she said that the girl was in ninth grade or something, and she said that she sat there and let that girl be tortured and suffer with dealing with labor pains and stuff. Now Miss Verga she got Miss Verga eventually, and I can't believe I looked up to Miss Verga as a favorite teacher, and pretty much looked up to her, like, and so when you're still young and being surrounded by abuse and think it's normal and told that it's right and this is what we deserve, so Miss Verga said, and Miss Verga got to be elevated to be the doggone principal at, like, years later. She was a teacher. She wasn't a teacher for very long, and then she that quickly got elevated to, like, teacher, then disciplinarian, assistant principal, then principal at schools and stuff. Like, she elevated very fast to become a principal. And Miss Verga was a self-righteous, devout Catholic. So I don't even know if Miss Verga was associated with Freemasonry or the occult and stuff. And I don't want to tell too much of her personal life. I'm trying to respect her personal life and some of the stuff I remember that she told me. So I'll just leave it like that. So, but I'm going to just say that, well, I mean, it's like, I'm going to say that, if I'm going to just say, if she went through abuse too as a child, I'm not going to go into detail, but if she went through abuse too as a child, why the hell would she feel like that 14-year-old girl, deserved to suffer, with the torment of having a baby, and she just sat there and refused to call the police or the ambulance or call for help, and she said that, well, that girl shouldn't have laid in that bed and got pregnant, like, just heartless, and that girl could have been molested or raped or something like that, I don't know. That could be a whole separate video of me to talk about how I mean, just the brutality of being in middle school back in the 90s. It was very scary going to Gretna Junior High or Gretna Middle School. It was very scary, but they used to hear about this girl and that girl being seen by society as, oh, she's hot. Back then, in the 90s, they used to say a girl was hot, fast, whatever, hot in the pants, loose, slutty. Some of the terms that the elderly people would use, like loose. When they say you're loose, you sleep with anybody, or you easy, or easy. That you're easy. Easy mean all the guys wouldn't have to take effort to sleep with you. So these girls, excuse me, and it's getting worse. with the sexualization of young kids. And you see about the cuties and Netflix, that's a distraction. And the cuties in Netflix, some people say that those are not even little girls, but those are little transgender boys turned to girls who are being sexualized and tortured and ritually abused. And so Netflix is one of the big power, companies or whatever. So that's that's another distraction. But they say that those are not little girls, but little tranny boys turned to girls being sexualized right in front of your face. So it seems like when I said lies get told in stages, it seems like the truth gets told in stages also. So like so people on YouTube would defend, saying that, oh, the young girls in your neighborhood are, being, piped down by older men and nobody says anything, or they accept bribes or take money. But if it's going on in your neighborhood, it's going on in your neighborhood, so you should, the police know about it and they don't do anything. Like I heard in Los Angeles, like what year was that? In between 2013 and 2015, I was living in Los Angeles, and they had the Summer Night Lights program. Was supposed to keep kids out of trouble, supposed to reduce gangs, and supposed to keep kids out of danger and stuff. So at the Summer Night Lights, I heard that how corrupt LAPD in Los Angeles, LAPD, as corrupt as they are, I heard that a whole bunch of police officers sat there and allowed and were right there and encouraged a 13-year-old girl to get raped by an older man, or gang raped by a whole bunch of guys. I don't remember what the exact story was. But how they allow that to happen? So and when somebody's about to rape you, that even if you're by yourself, that's fucking scary. Like this past Saturday, I was afraid I was gonna get raped again by the guy 2 doors down, and that was the last day I saw him, and I have not seen him ever since. I haven't seen him ever since that night. But that if a guy approaches you like that's fucking scary. So even if he's not coming at you violently, if he is persistent with coming at you and refuse to back down or slow down, and he just keep persisting, that's frightening. So a lot of these girls are freaking scared of what's going on. Now this is what's gonna really get me in trouble. That y'all probably, they didn't think I had the smarts to catch on to all this, but me trying to connect dots, and it's been eating at me for years. How the Masonic Stankin' Craft family across the street, we were little kids, and the foster family used to have them stalk and spy on us and watch our every move, and then report everything back to her, everything we did and said. And so then, they can even make up rumors and lies. And I've done past videos about how John Kraft has falsely accused me of flirting at men when I was 11 years old and knew nothing about flirting at men. And I'm 37. Well, I'm still not that good with flirting, but I'm disabled, and I'm I'm not that talented or skilled with flirting and certain sexual things, So he would lie to the foster mom when I was 11 years old. I've talked about this in previous videos, and I'm not lying. I'm not crazy. And so don't try to say, oh, don't believe or listen to anything she says. She needs her meds. Don't freaking gaslight me. And I know I'm telling the truth as best as I remember it. Now, I've talked about in past videos about how, the foster mom would have never approved, but the foster dad, Al, I don't remember him molesting us, but the foster dad, Al, used to watch porn, and he didn't change the channel. When we came in the room, he didn't change the channel, and he used to urinate in front of us numerous times and with the door wide open. And when we were 4 years old, and I used to feel uncomfortable when the foster mom would be right there. He'd be like, "Who you love? Give me some sugar." Kiss, he would kiss us, and then I'd be like, like. But I don't remember us being alone and him doing anything sexual to me. But that Lisa Ruby lady wanted me to basically tell her all my life and story, and then she used it against me as a weapon against me to spiritually abuse me. And she had my head all psyched up trying to say that the Holy Spirit revealed to her that the foster dad Al used to molest me, and she kept on talking about molestation and sodomy when she's supposed to be a Christian, but she's obsessed with talking about sodomy. And she claimed that she was MK Ultra and a targeted individual and hated by her family. But I heard how narcissistic abusers pretend to front like they mirror your life, but she kind of was like the Illuminati lady Melinda, called themselves trying to psychologically and mentally and spiritually fix me. And there was a point in time Miss Lisa Ruby briefly was trying to say that the biological dad Arthur sodomized me. I'm like, no, because we were we were in foster care and not allowed to be on visitation with the biological dad Arthur, And the biological family, as I said, they're keeping the genealogy a secret from me, But there are people who know nothing about me, and they think they can just look at me and say, well, you're under multi-generational curses and curses of this, that. And I'm like, wait a minute. How do you know homosexuality run in my family? Or how do you know that most of my family is considered mentally ill? Or how do you know this? Or how do you know that? Those might be, fake hypocristian psychics. That's what the fake deliverance ministry people are. That's what they are. The fake hypocristian spin on psychics and stuff like that. So that's why I stay away from deliverance ministries. It's like blurring the lines and lukewarmness and ecumenism and leading the way to the broad way to the new world order. So the foster dad Al, Miss Lisa Ruby, tried to play games with me, and then eventually said that the Holy Spirit revealed to her that the foster dad Al molested or raped us when we were little. And then she kept laughing and said, "You're not gonna remember. You're not gonna remember." So when I said, "Well, I said I don't remember." You're not gonna remember. Like why would you laugh at something like that? And so she fed off of me being psychologically and mentally tormented, with that fake deliverance ministry session in 2015. And it wasn't until after dealing with her that's when I started to have problems with my body vibrating. After she gave me that computer, and even when I don't even have to have a computer or a phone, and still end up having moments where they vibrate my body, so it's part of electronic harassment. Now, that Galatians 4 lady said that Lisa Ruby might be putting microchips in your food, but at the same time, she gaslit me and told me that she didn't believe that my body was vibrating, that I'm mentally ill and stuff like that. So, I don't know, it's just a big mess. But the foster dad, Al, I don't remember him molesting us when we were little, very little. But the foster dad, Al, used to drink and smoke weed and the biological gay brother Mark and the biological brother Wyatt, they used to laugh and talk about how Al used to grow weed. And the biological mom, Frances, confronted me about how Al used to grow weed on top of the house or something like that. I don't know if that was true or not. But Al did used to smoke weed when we were little. And he didn't used to call it weed, but he used to smoke weed and cigarettes, and he used to drink alcohol. And he used to feed us Jack Daniels whiskey when we were little. Well, not all the time, but I think I remember a time or two. It was nasty. Yuck. So, I hated that Jack Daniels whiskey. I think he used to wear cologne that smelled like that too. But anyway, so Al was good friends with John from the Kraft family. And John was supposed to be a heterosexual man, but messy like a female, and still is. Messy like a female, and gossip. And he would create rumors and lies about his own sister. His own sisters, and my brothers and sisters treat me the same. So, I had, found out in 2019, my final confirmation that the Kraft family is associated. They have Masonic organization. They belong to Masonic organizations, and maybe I shouldn't have gone around them. And that was before I found out I was gang stalked. In 2017 and 2018, I went into my old neighborhood, and I went to try to see if the foster mom still lived there and stuff. Because my twin sister told me in 2015, my twin sister told me that John had told her that the foster mom didn't live at that place no more, at that house. I don't want to say the address, but that she didn't live at that house no more, and that white people lived there. So in 2015, when I visited and I tried to get the truth to the foster mom about what I learned and stuff, but I didn't know as much as I know now, but I thought I learned a lot. And the foster mom, she looked like her height shrunk. I know I didn't grow, but she shrunk. And so she was all excited to see me and stuff like that. And she sounded a certain kind of weird and odd. Like, she didn't tell me she was sick, but I don't know why she was just sounding scary that day. And me and her sat down and talked, and she treated me like normal, So it's like, well, I thought John said that the foster mom moved out of that house, because that woman said she was never getting rid of that house. And Danielle from the Kraft family, who's now deceased, Danielle said that that house was actually in Joni's name, and that Joni was supposed to have owned that house. That Al left that house to Joni, and Joni was getting $394 in Social Security, and Joni acted like she didn't care when Danielle pointed that out to her, and Joni acted like she didn't care about nothing, like she didn't care about a house, car, or nothing. But then Joni used to use and take advantage of the little bit of money I had. I didn't understand that, So, the foster mom used to offer Joni to drive and have a car, and Joni never wanted to drive. She never wanted to have a car. They even tried to bribe Joni and offered Joni to drive the BMW. That was off limits to us, And then I battled and fought for the opportunity to want to get to drive. And no, I was blocked and not allowed, But anyway, so it's like I forgot to mention about Michael Jackson, about how when Joe Jackson used to pimp Michael out, and Michael Jackson was scarred because I heard that Joe Jackson and other ladies used to direct Michael to go touch on grown women's legs when he was 5 years old, and they thought he was just a midget pervert, and he was actually a whole freaking child. I forgot that part. But let me get back to so anyway, I remember feeling seeing a lot of different sexual stuff on TV. And, I remember being 4 years old and seeing, like, because they used to show the soap operas with a lot of explicit sex while we kids were going to school. But then this one particular day, they had a soap opera on. Nobody really was paying attention, but I was disturbed. A man was doing a woman. I thought that he was peeing inside of her butthole when I was 4 years old. I didn't know it was sex. I thought he was peeing inside her butthole. And I didn't know if it was he was doing her from the back vaginally or anally. And the woman was crying. She was crying. And while he was doing her, and that kind of messed my head up too. And then, we got a certain age, like 7, 8 years old, and certain movies would come on, and the foster mom would send us upstairs, but let Joni stay down with the family and watch. And I'm like, well, how come Joni can watch this, but we can't watch? But we didn't realize we were too young and that it would have scarred our minds or messed our minds up, But Joni had special certain privileges because we were in foster care, and Joni was genetically related to the foster mom, and Joni was adopted. But my twin sister told me that John from the Kraft family told her that that the foster mom and secretly did adopt us. Or I don't remember exactly what she said, but she said the foster mom and secretly adopted us. Or that she was going to adopt us, but then found out that she wasn't going to get paid any benefits or whatever. And so that's when she decided to keep us foster, so some kind of secret or covert adoption once we were 9 years old. A few months after she got that settlement and got that BMW, after the foster dad Al died. Now I don't even know I don't even know how long gang stalking and targeted individual was going on. But John was a shady friend to the foster dad Al. And John was much younger than Al, but he was a shady friend to Al. But he'll act like he fake speak well about Al. And John, I don't know what happened that day. I was 8 years old in third grade, and I saw Al got arrested and went to jail. And I never cried so much in my life when I saw Al go to jail. And that was my first day. I felt like I had zero respect for police officers anymore. And that was the first thing, to see the foster dad Al get arrested and go to jail. I didn't like police no more after that. And then they said, I don't know much of the details of what happened, but John set him up. And come to think of it, I don't even know if Al was a targeted individual and could have been blood sacrifice, because it seemed like we could have had more freedom. He used to whip us too, but we could have had more freedom if Al was still alive, But it's a lot of stuff that went on in our foster family that the foster family tried to keep secret from us or try to hide from us. Even the biological family try to keep secret and try to hide. And even I would be 18 and 19 years old, and the foster stepdad, Mr. Terry, would be like, go upstairs, looking all in our mouth. And I wouldn't even be looking in their mouth, But it's like they would speak their personal business on purpose in front of me, to dare me to go back and say something. And talking about, go upstairs. And the foster mom too be like, and the foster sister Shelley be like, go upstairs. She looking all in our mouth, all in our business, while they gossiping and talking about other people, So John was not a good friend to Al. And I guess y'all would have thought I was too mentally slow to catch on to that too. And my twin sister told me that, she was part of them that act like as if she didn't trust me to tell secrets or whatever. But it's more like exposing the truth to their dirty deeds, not just spilling secrets to be a snitch. So my twin sister, she told me, Brandy, she told me that what was that? She told me. Oh man, it slipped my mind what I was gonna. Well, when she told me that, oh yeah, you don't think that that's how you know the foster mom probably sacrificed, because I was trying to wake her up to the truth about not just the entertainment industry, but how the world is anyway with the Illuminati, and me trying to wake her up to the truth about the Illuminati. They already called me crazy and thought I was crazy, but my twin sister was like, well, that's how well, how you think that's how you the foster mom, and that's how she got that BMW. When she and it's like the foster mom. I remember the foster. That's what I said. If you grew up being a child, looking up to dealing with the abuse and stuff, and the foster dad and the foster mom used to argue and fuss every day. And then me and my twin sister grow up fussing all the time and arguing and not getting along and fighting. Well, we get it from y'all. So how you gonna punish and condemn me and my twin sister if y'all wife and husband? The foster mom used it against me and threw it in my face and said, the Bible says you're supposed to put your husband before the rest of your family. Says the woman who been married 4 times and does nothing but argue and fuss with her multiple husbands. She said, the Bible says you're supposed to be married once. You want to know how many times I've been married? 4. So when, I forgot what I was going to say, but, yeah, my twin sister was like, well, that's how she got, the foster mom got that BMW. And then she's like, how do I know that Ann might not be sacrificing me? Trying to say, oh, how do I know that Ann might not be sacrificing me? Talking about her, But, so, the foster family, that I guess they didn't want to be, they were occultists and had Masonic connections and didn't want to be exposed. Like the foster mom, they say the Collins are related. All the Collins are related. And Collins is an Illuminati last name. And the foster mom has Collins family. And so it's like, so the foster mom has an uncle that's deceased, and he was the complexion of white people, looked like a white man. I think I mentioned this before. And he had he was considered the first black judge. But nah, you ain't black enough, because you had all that white in you, and they don't even identify with being Creole or nothing. They just call themselves black, but look everything like white people and call themselves black. But that's a Creole thing in New Orleans, where you look like white people, but you call yourself black. And so the foster mom had an uncle named Judge Larnell R. Collins or something like that. And he has a street named after him, and they said he was the first black judge of Gretna or whatever. And so the foster mom was popular and well liked. She was popular in that cult, the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research cult. And they say foster care is nothing but human trafficking and then profiting off of us. And it points to, I think the foster mom put me in a targeted individual program. And I believe that the foster mom was my handler. And we had Stockholm Syndrome. In the same way, like if R. Kelly was these girls' handler and they had Stockholm Syndrome, like idolizing and worshiping your main abuser and caring about them so much and being manipulated and abused and stuff. And, so it's really painful. Like, how could you, even if you didn't give birth to us, you want to take the brownie points for raising us from a baby, but you know, you want to take the brownie points for raising us from a baby, but she'll tell you in a minute, I don't give a shit about you or whatever, or that nobody cares about you or nobody on the street cares about you. The foster mom, Adrienne Felder, who they call Ann. So, so the foster mom acted like she was overly sexually repressive. And, she called herself being a certain way. Like, if my twin sister have a conversation with a girl, the foster mom would condemn her and call her a dyke. If she have a conversation with a boy, and it doesn't even have to be anything sexual at all, just contact, the foster mom would call her a hoe or a slut or a hot heifer. Or the foster sister April started that, the hot heifer. And so, the foster family wanted to keep us isolated. We weren't allowed to talk to anybody. That's why I said the foster mom was her own cult leader. She was her own cult leader. And she had a cult within that house. And the woman is supposedly 4 feet 11 inches tall. And everybody's scared of this woman. Adrienne Felder. Everybody's scared of her. Even men who are 6 feet 7 inches tall are scared of this woman. Like, she's so powerful. And I regret every second of my past years of idolizing and worshiping and loving her as the mother I wish I had. I take that back. I mean, the birth mother I wish I had, but I take that back. And even though the biological mom, Frances Grand Prix, was oppressive towards me too, and she's now deceased. And, it's hard to honor your parents when they're narcissistic abusers or if they're into voodoo and witchcraft and stuff like that, and they're manipulating and playing games. Because if the Bible says, honor your mother and your father, honor your parents, but at the same time, it says, provoke not your children to wrath. So they did that. So I can't, it's hard for me to love either parent now or either mother, So, I mean, growing up, and it's like the foster mom tried to make like she would want to protect us from being violated from outside people, and maybe she was afraid that if we were violated, in which that didn't stop us from being sexually violated, because the boys in the classroom at school or something like that would violate us, but we weren't fast and hot and sleep or sluts or thoughts or whatever, sleeping around or whatever. But John from the Kraft family, I've said it before, how, and I'm not lying, how, John would make false rumors about everybody. And, I mentioned the other day in a video about how he tried to say that his own sister was nothing but a leftover, Cheryl. And they belonged to a Masonic church. In 2018, when I saw them, Miss Cheryl and her sister Lillian, and that was the last time I saw Danielle. And Danielle just wanted to see me for a brief moment. She acted like she was extra excited to see me, but I had no idea that Danielle was even sick or anything. And I don't even know Danielle was a blood sacrifice, or she just died strictly from health, or if she could have been a blood sacrifice. I don't know. And Danielle was what I'm 37 now. She was 37 when she died of stomach cancer. And my twin sister acting like she was shooken up and choked up about that and stuff. But then again, Danielle wasn't really treated like an outcast like her cousin Talisha, who's Lanika's sister. And me and Talisha used to be treated like an outcast from when we were younger. But, Danielle lived that fast life, 12 years old, popping out, 12 and 13 years old, popping out babies for 19-year-old men. And, that Kraft family, it seemed like Danielle, we were teenagers and Danielle was spilling secrets, to Joni and them. I think it was Danielle was the first person I heard who told us that the biological gay brother Mark had AIDS. And I'm like, what? So, this was when we were still kids. We were still teenagers, and Danielle is gone now. But, if Danielle and Letitia seemed like they both had the same man, like the Kraft family members sitting there sharing lovers and stuff, and the biological family, they do the same thing. I wouldn't even know how to handle myself if a guy who slept with my older sister Ramona, I wouldn't knowingly want to sleep with him. Now, I had that happen where a guy who claimed that Ramona had got pregnant by him, but that baby miscarried. I think it was 2 kids, not twins, but 2 different times that the babies miscarried for this guy. And then later on, Ramona tried to lie and say that never happened. So, I'm sorry I sound like I'm jumping all over the place. So Ramona tried to lie and say that never happened. But she did used to tell me that Waldo guy, was the one who had her first 2 kids for him. And then Monica was the first to survive, but not the first child she was pregnant with. Then come Raymond. And some people say that these miscarriages can be cover-ups for blood sacrifices too, especially the firstborn. And I heard that happens in the occult too. And my sister Ramona, the biological sister Ramona, she is obsessed with death. And she gets off on death. And she break her neck to run to strangers' funerals. And my nephew Raymond exposed her saying, you go to strangers' funeral just to go laugh about how they looked in the casket. And then when Belinda died, the older sister Belinda, who we never really got to meet in person, Wyatt said that, the biological brother Wyatt said that Ramona had lifted up Belinda's dress to see if she had panties on, like the day before Belinda's funeral. And I wonder what the hell kind of sick, creepy, weird shit is this? So when you hear sick stuff like that in your own family, it's like make me feel like I'm glad to be the outcast. That if Belinda was alive, Ramona wouldn't have gotten away with doing something, and the family didn't think anything of it. But they'll jump down my throat and attack me for giving a homeless person $5. Why would you attack me really hard? But Ramona can do stuff like go to strangers' funerals and laugh at how they looked in the casket and want to live in a neighborhood where surrounded by a bad neighborhood surrounded by heavy death and murder. And she gets off on that, she gets a rise out of just being surrounded by death. And she worships death, like obsessed with death. But then if you talk about somebody hurt your feelings or this, don't nobody want to hear that foolishness, or ain't nobody got time to entertain that foolishness, or I don't want to hear that because that's negative and stuff like that. But she treats me like worse than shit. Like she really don't give a fuck about her own sister. So but that's what I wanted to say. My twin sister told me that the foster mom revealed to her that Ramona was that secret mystery woman that Ramona used to do threesomes with the foster dad Al and John from the Kraft family. And that's who I remember. The foster mom and the foster dad Al used to argue about this woman at Charity Hospital, that secret mystery woman. And so Ramona tried to play it off. And when I confronted John and I've confronted Ramona, they both played it off and lied and said that John lied and said he didn't know who Ramona is. And then Ramona tried to play it off and lie and say that she didn't know who Al was or John. And so if John is doing this sexual perversion with threesomes and stuff, and then the foster mom, I didn't know that until recently, some people say that, oh, the reason why you kept getting raped or whatever, or the reason why they rape female target individuals, or they start rumors about you being a prostitute because they're trying to groom you into prostitution. And I thought, me being 37 years old right now, I thought that I would be too old to be groomed to be a prostitute, you know? And I had numerous opportunities, but I never wanted to be a prostitute. Never. Never wanted to degrade myself like that. Never, ever, for any amount of money, ever. You know? And I've heard in Los Angeles, I mean, I did a video talking about this the other day. In Los Angeles, you will be dead. Like, I heard that the Mexican men, they take a black woman to prostitute, and they kill her and be brutal, brutally torture her and stuff. And that goes on in Los Angeles. So, you know, even if it wasn't from any brutality, I just don't want to degrade myself like that. So it seemed like as if the stuff that Lanika from the Kraft family used to do, and then John used to lie and say it was me doing it. I'm like, why would you do that? You know, and the situation where I thought I became a targeted individual when the foster mom scapegoated me and blamed me. I'm not gonna go into detail with discussing that again. But you know, they talk about fast girls in your neighborhood. You know, fast hot girls, and I used to wonder how Lanika was underage and getting to do things that even the foster sister Joni said that Lanika would be like 15 years, no, younger than that, like 11 years old, and going to proms with 19-year-old men, 11 years old, getting to go sneak into clubs and lie. And I mean, an 11-year-old child, you can see that that's an 11-year-old. And lie and said that I witnessed Lanika lie to men about her age and flirt at men and stuff. And you're forbidden to speak out against her, but anybody else can call anybody else in the school a fast hot girl. But Lanika herself had her share of hypocritically calling other girls a whore and hot and stuff like that, and promiscuous or whatever, when she need to look at herself. And she still ain't changed. You can be married all you want, but they have married people who cheat and still be a hoe too. And it's like, she used to brag about her Indian cousins out in the country, who she claimed she was having sex with them, and she said it like it was a badge of honor, like she didn't feel traumatized or hurt, and she used to act out sexually at a young age. And her mom, I witnessed her mom pushing her up. You know, the girls, Lanika and her sisters even said, you know, basically their mom taught them to put their money, and then they try to tell me to do the same thing. Yeah, my mom said you should, when you go to the store, you should put your money inside your bra and stuff. And I would see, you know, Lanika be 13 years old and have a deceitful looking smile on her face when it's a guy cashier. And, you know, and I remember when we were in 8th grade and the foster mom was outraged at saying that Miss Cheryl used to prostitute her young daughters to grown men at a young age, and that the girls used to sleep in that with grown men in that back house, and that you know why Miss Cheryl was gone. And I remember, you know, Lanika, I mean, it's like the Kraft family member sharing the same. I couldn't do it. You couldn't even get me to share the same man as my cousin's cousin. No. So, it's like even my own twin sister and the foster mom, they made false rumors about me being a prostitute and scapegoating me. But me being a targeted individual, they make those lies and rumors saying you're a prostitute and a pedophile, and you did this and you did that, or you're a crazy person, you're a thief, you're a drug addict, you're a murderer, you're a racist, or you're this. And they make all kinds of lies that it's like what they do, and then they project it onto you. and you're not one of the insiders. You're not part of their secret club. You're not part of the cult or anything like that. The cult that I was forced to be in, I was treated like an outsider. I said before, I'll say it again. What's the point of being part of a religion where everybody hates you and nobody cares about you? You know, so, I mean, y'all might be, this is not about me just spreading other people's business. It has to do with me too, because I was falsely accused of the same crimes or whatever that y'all did. You know, I'm starting to get kind of more scared, you know, that I guess I revealed too much, you know. But if the foster mom didn't report it, and she might have been part of this witches coven, the same voodoo witches coven that they're part of, you know. And I didn't know that if you stare at a guy for long, you can put a love spell on him. I mean, one of those Black Hebrew Israelites people said that. I don't remember who it was, but I don't remember what his name is though. But he said that if you look at a man for too long, you can put a spell on him just by a certain kind of stare. And I heard of that witches stare at people, or people with Jezebel spirit, that they stare at people and stuff like that. And Lanika's current husband right now, he doesn't know much of anything what we went through back then, you know. So why are you putting I can tell you're a Freemason too. You're a Mason, and you're probably into the part of the witches cult. And why the hell you marry an evil witch person? You know. And so some people say that's why their last name is Craft. You get it? Witchcraft. And then somebody try to compare Lanika's name to 666 and like America with 3 Ks, like the Nazi communist America or whatever, the KKK or whatever, trying to say that even the Kraft family's names are no coincidence. And so if Miss Cheryl was sitting there putting her children out there like that, and now if the littlest thing I do, that's not your business, the foster mom be like, that's not your business. If I repeat anything. And I was in my 20s, and John Kraft had a fight with his gay son Rashni. And when John had a fight, fist fight, you know, all out fist fight, and when I told what happened, the foster mom kept saying, that's not your business. That's not your business. But then the other neighbors next door, they were children, like 11, 12 years old or something. And I'm like, well, how come and they're saying what happened. I'm like, how come it's their business? And I'm 22 years old. It's not my business. Because they're going to come after you. They're not going to come after them. So that's not your business. That's not your business. That's not your business. You know, but saying that, yeah, because the foster mom was like, yeah, saying that the Kraft family knew not to fuck with those little 10-year-old boys who were saying the same story that I'm telling. You know, and they were talking about the fighting or whatever. But shortly after Miss Ollie, the big grandma, died, now they try to say Miss Ollie was the mastermind behind why the house stunk so bad, because she was super obese. Like, I don't know how many pounds she was, but she was 5'11". They said she was 5'11", very tall, and she would sit in bed all day with her legs cocked open and never left the house, and the house smelled bad. And so, I mean, I don't even want to say too much about what's been going on, you know, but, you know, I'm upset because they done all this crooked stuff and then scapegoat and blame me, and it's part of my freaking targeting, you know. So yeah, I have a right. It is my business and it is part of my life, and I'm going to speak out about it. And you can say I'm mental or, you know, I'm crazy or whatever, but y'all gonna freaking listen to me today, goddammit. No, I don't want to take God's name in vain like that. I'm sorry, God. I repent. I haven't said goddamn in a long time, but damn it. No, I shouldn't even say that. But y'all gonna listen to me today. So I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Y'all gonna listen to me today. Y'all not gonna ignore me today. And so I mean, it's like, why don't I have a right to speak out on my own gang stalking, my own targeting, if this affects me? So, when I heard stories about Aaliyah's life, it sounds kind of like a mixture of my life and Lanika's life at the same time. If Aaliyah's mom pushed her up to be what society calls a hoe, but then at the same time, before Aaliyah died, everybody hated her. Everybody hated Aaliyah, and Aaliyah turned out to be innocent. Everybody hate me, and I turned out to be innocent. And it's not until after I die that people gonna say Candy was right. After I'm dead. But y'all call me crazy now. And I really hate this. You know how sometimes your life can be similar to celebrities' life, especially if celebrities are being targeted. You don't have to be famous to be associated with Masonic connections and stuff. It can be right in your neighborhood. And I never was fast. I never was promiscuous. I never was slutty. And the foster mom never allowed that from us. So I told the story before about how I think I became targeted. It was 3 shorter videos. And I don't want to go back into detail about that, but I'm going to tell you some details that I did forget. When that lady, Ernestine James, who lived in the neighborhood, the foster sister April's friend, and Ernestine was supposedly a friend of the family, and Ernestine falsely accused me of wanting to get everybody in trouble. And they had me scared and were threatening me not to tell that situation. And the foster mom blamed me and scapegoated me, saying it was my fault. She didn't get to say her last words to her mother. Excuse me. And that's when, after that, everybody started calling me crazy and started to get revenge. And then, I didn't know anything about love or forgiveness or anything like that. The cult never taught it. So me being bitter for so many years and stuff, and upset and a lot of stuff, and it's like, I mean, and so-called Christians will try to shut me down, be like, be quiet, because Jesus took the blame for your sins, so you be quiet. And he took the blame for all of humanity's sins, So, I'm just saying that I'm blamed for something that, that I shouldn't have had to be responsible for, but something that I didn't even know the true, 100% true story about. But I'm going to tell you, one thing I forgot is that night, it was more than once that Lanika tried to push Joni and Brandy up to have sex with guys, and then block me from knowing what's going on. Try to block, and we was like 13, 14, 15 years old, or they kept everything secret from me. And I was that crazy child that's not to be trusted. But as I said, the foster mom had that family keeping an eye on us, close eye, watching our every move, while they part of Freemason and secret society, while they allow, like, Lanika acting like she despised and hated her mom, and she used to say it all the time in junior high, how she hated and couldn't stand her mom, and said that her mom didn't allow her freedom, and that her mom was too strict. And I remember we were in 9th grade in Miss Dozier's class, and she was talking with Brandy Jones, a different girl named Brandy, and a few other people, saying that she would rather have her, she would rather have her dad be a teacher at school and not her mom, because she said she couldn't stand her mom, because she said her mom was too mean and strict. And so I'm like, well, how ironic if her mom is letting her have sex and drive and do adult things like be 11 years old going to proms with 19-year-olds, or 11, 12, 13 years old allowed to drink alcohol and do everything that an adult does. And you don't feel traumatized, and you don't feel like your childhood was ruined. But those are what if your mom pushed you up and pimped you out to grown men, Lanika, yes, Lanika Simeon, Harold, or whatever your last name is now, your mom pimped you out and your sisters to grown men and sold you to the devil at a young age. You should be freaking fucked up in the head and traumatized, you know, not glorifying and glamorizing the horror lifestyle, you know. So I was trying to figure out if Lanika was walking around, you know, it looked to me like she was trying to dress like Aaliyah. And those guys, the older men providing for her and, you know, having her dress a certain way and, you know, wear her hair covered with one eye and sunglasses like Aaliyah when we were younger. And it's like, I remember Lanika being 14 years old, wearing sunglasses and driving more than one time and just walking around with this mentality like she thought she was a grown woman. And she running around talking about, I'm grown, or whatever, saying that she's grown or whatever. And I remember when we were in 8th grade, there was a moment where even my twin sister was upset and crying because Lanika forced us to stay downstairs while Lanika tried to get Joni to have sex with this guy named Michael. And she forced us, and she didn't have the authority or right to force us to stay downstairs. You know, and they didn't want me to be too curious. When I was a kid, they used to talk about that I asked too many stupid questions. You know, so, I mean, I was trying to, I don't even know if Lanika was, and like she would be an underage child and train the foster sister Joni on how to please a man sexually and stuff like that, and like training and coaching her. And I think I never heard of a grand dame. I think that's what you call it. Like somebody said that the girl that was with the R. Kelly tapes, Rashana Edwards Landfair or whatever, that she was considered a grand dame and trained Jocelyn and Azriel, like Jocelyn Savage and Azriel Clary. Like she trained them how to please R. Kelly. Or something like that I heard. And so, you know, to me this seems like very similar. So it's like I don't even know of anybody else who used to have like the same privileges in life as Lanika. And these freaking narcissistic ass kids, even the foster mom's niece Mildred was just, you know, spoiled and had everything good. And Mildred, you know, you would think she looks biracial, but Mildred, you know, is a narcissistic abuser and, you know, had a child underage. Mildred, I don't even know what her last name is now, but before she got married her first time, her last name was Mathis. Yes, I'm exposing all you motherfuckers. So Mildred, you know, anytime back then we used to hear about people being stuck up. Now it's called narcissism, narcissistic abuse. Or stuck up, conceited, think you're better. Mildred was a narcissistic abuser who was highly narcissistic and still is. And I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I'm just saying everything. So Mildred bragged about being the first minority. All that white you got mixed up. Shut up about being the first white minority. The first black minority female to ever be a pilot. Like Mildred, they let Mildred be a pilot in the Air Force at a young age. Well, not underage, but you know, Mildred was like in her early 20s, and Mildred accelerated in the military so fast. Like within, I wonder how they let Mildred advance so fast in the military like that. And if the foster family, if none of them are really poor except the ones considered outsiders, like if the foster mom used to consider Cricket crazy, the foster sister Joni's mom Cricket. Now James, Cricket's son James, Joni's brother James, is one of them. Like, I don't even know if James is a Mason or anything. But James didn't want to go into, Joni and them, they didn't want to go into the military at first. And so, maybe Cricket and her sisters Naomi and Regina and all them, maybe they must know too much and they're outcasted by the family. And, Joni's kids being even snatched away, and Joni was abused and treated a certain way too. So how can Joni pick on me and bully me and give me the silent treatment and cold shoulder and act like she thinks she's better, roll her eyes and get an attitude after not seeing or hearing from me in years, but she still respect my twin sister? And so I don't even know if Joni's one of them, but me, Brandy, and Joni, and Mark and Wyatt and Sean, we were all abused. All of us. So how, like, Mark and Brandy turn out to act like the foster family, and they've been abused. Wyatt, in some ways, too, act like the foster family. And so, Sean still falsely accused me of having ways like the foster mom, Ann, but he's included with the biological family now, and I'm outcasted all by myself. So, Mildred was married to a 21-year-old at 17. She got pregnant underage. But Mildred's supposed to be seen by society as better than perfect. And I never really heard, except, the foster boy Matthew that, had the situation with my twin sister during that, that sexual situation that Lanika hyped up. That foster boy Matthew, what Brandy said that Matthew used to call Mildred a slut and a whore or whatever. But I don't even know if like in New Orleans, you used to hear about these light skinned girls that people used to call quiet, that they were quiet, and they used to say, oh, that's how you know she's hot, because she's light skinned and she's quiet. That's how you know that them girls be sexually promiscuous and hot or whatever, because they're quiet and they're light skinned, they're quiet and they're stuck up and stuff like that, And those be the main people who would be freaking witches, like voodoo witches and stuff, They're quiet because they're probably plotting on their next victim, But Lanika was not quiet at all, and neither is she light skinned either. But she's falsely credited as light skinned on purpose to make her appear by society as better than everybody else, But that night when Lanika hooked Joni up to have sex with that, when Joni was 18 and we were 14, and Joni hooked Lanika up. Lanika hooked Joni up to have sex with that. It's like, because Joni was 17 and Lanika was setting Joni up with all these boys. It's like as if Lanika manipulated Joni to lose so much weight on purpose to attract boys. Like Lanika, I don't even know if Lanika being younger, if Lanika was Joni's handler or something, this would have seemed like. And Joni acting like Lanika can do no wrong and will always defend Lanika. And like as if Lanika was like manipulating and grooming Joni into becoming a whore, like her. And people used to say Joni was mentally and slow and retarded, just like they say me and Brandy. They say we were mentally slow and retarded, but I have a whole college degree. And so, Lanika was getting in Joni's head, and Joni never used to be loose like that. Joni was more quiet, reserved, and shy, and, miserable, more like depressed. And I wouldn't say miserable, but she was more depressed because of the foster mom abuse. And the foster mom was overly sexually repressive. And I'm trying to figure out what is going on here. Is Lanika a voodoo witch? Was she trying to get Joni initiated and my twin sister initiated into human child sex trafficking, or was she trying to get them into a sex cult or something? Because I was forbidden. Lanika thought she had the authority to forbid me to talk about school and education, but all she wanted to talk about is sex all day and riding guys' dick all day, and like talking about riding dick all day, and and a 12-year-old child shouldn't be thinking like that, and like, I remember hearing about the story about how Lanika had sex with this guy at the older boy at the Hilton Hotel downtown New Orleans, and she was 13 years old and went to prom with the boy. His name was Clinton. I don't even think I knew Clinton's last name. And so it seemed like after that big situation that happened, Lanika didn't stop. And I mean, and Danielle was in on it too, with trying to set Joni up with this guy to have sex with, and and they were considered fast girls and who thought they were grown. But Miss Lillian wasn't pushing. She didn't seem like she was pushing Danielle out there like Miss Cheryl was pushing Lanika. More like Lanika was the main one being pushed into whoredom. But Talisha was treated like an outcast like me. And, if all these Talisha was the scapegoat, and now it looks like as if she was one of them. If they gave her a job with the sheriff's department, and so she's been having that job for years, but I don't know what's going on in Talisha's life anymore. But the oldest one, Shamela, was setting Lanika up with some of these guys too, and treat her like the favorite sister, while Talisha got nothing. And Talisha had a lot of heartaches and breakdowns, and being seen as the outcast and the scapegoat. And they used to bully, harass, and laugh at. Me and Talisha used to sit down on the bus together in when I was in 7th grade, in junior high, and again when I was in college. We used to ride the transit bus to and from school and sit together and just talk about different things or whatever. But Talisha was the more modest one out of all of them. And then you hear stories like one time I heard about, not Talisha didn't say this, but Danielle said it, that basically about, because one time Lanika we were in 8th or 9th grade, and it was quite well known that Lanika was sleeping with her sister Shamela's husband. And one time Danielle said, well, that Miss Cheryl overheard Lanika and Darrell, who's Shamela's husband, having sex and wanted to join in. And then I heard from another person, I don't remember who it was, said that Miss Cheryl and Shamela and Lanika, used to all share Darrell Sullivan. So this is a kind of sexual, weird stuff that they do. And then, they want to talk about me being a whore, look down on me like they think they're better than me. And if Danielle had sex with this one older man and then found out he must have lied about his age, and then Letitia started to date this guy, and then she had a baby for him, and now she's on a hardcore butch man diet now. Some of these people I haven't heard for years. And then Fernell, he seemed like he got some success in his life, And Fernell, I remember hearing about how successful he was. But in 2005, before Hurricane Katrina, when we were teenagers, what's the coincidence if Mark and Fernell used to spend the night by our house, the foster mom's house, when we were very little, like 2 and 3, 4 years old. I remember that. And then I remember a few times we used to sleep by Miss Lillian's house. Miss Lillian lived like the next block over from Miss Aaliyah, her own mom. And Miss Cheryl was the only one that lived somewhere else. And John used to stay with Miss Aaliyah, live with Miss Aaliyah for many years, And so it's like people might get on my case and say I'm just spreading everybody's business or I'm just gossiping. No, I'm not. It's not about gossiping or just telling my business or telling other people's business. But I have a right to know more about my targeting, and it seems like the biological family and the foster family are in on the same conspiracy about me. And it seemed like they're acting like as if controlled opposition or something, like as if it was just a charade that the foster mom and the biological mom were secretly they were at war with each other, but I don't even know if the biological mom was a targeted individual. They said the biological mom was a voodoo witch too, and the foster mom was a voodoo witch, and the biological sister Ramona is a voodoo witch. And it's been said that the gay brother Mark and the biological brother Derek, that they're voodoo witches, or a male they're called out warlock, but they're into voodoo or whatever. And I wonder how the hell they get so much more successful than me, And this is not coming out of jealousy, envy, or hate or anything like that. But that's what people want to pin on you when you're trying to get the truth out. And stuff been bothering you for years. But that night when Joni and when Lanika coached Joni on how to have sex with Andre Reigns, when Joni when Lanika was trying to get in Joni's head to have sex with that boy, I forgot to mention the detail that Andre's dad was innocent and didn't know what was going on, and that he tried to figure out why the foster brother Joe tried to threaten me with a gold pistol one time. Joe showed me this expensive ass gold pistol. Excuse me, I was in 8th grade and Joe had that small, expensive gold pistol. And Joe was telling me about this. He showed me the pistol and was telling me about the pistol. And, had me frightened and scared. He didn't tell me he was going to do me anything with the pistol. But for a long time, he kept that pistol. And he took that pistol and was going to shoot Andre's dad. Now, that would have been more terrifying. And more if Joe would have shot and murdered Andre's innocent dad. Just a man come pick up his son. And, Lanika does not even, and she laughed. This shit is funny to her. She laughed that this shit is funny to her. That, that she can laugh at something like this. And then later on, that same guy that Joni had sex with, that Lanika pushed Joni up to have sex with, then later on the next year, Lanika had sex with that same Andre. And then Joni tried to be in denial and be like, no, it was a different Andre. And Joni forgave Lanika and went back to being friends with her. But then they feel like they hate me forever for being a snitch or for telling on them. But look at this utter betrayal, and y'all quick to forgive each other. That Joni saw me at the China Doll restaurant in Harvey, Louisiana. If I haven't seen Joni since 2004, was the last time I saw her in person. Then see her in 2017, and Joni pretend to fake like she didn't know who I was, and then want nothing to do with me. And then, whatever lies my smear campaigns, my twin sister, me and my twin sister, Brandy, already couldn't get along and stuff like that. But they will side with and defend Lanika and tell me I'm wrong. And I'm tired of people just freaking ignoring me trying to get my story out, especially when it comes to my twin sister, the older sister Ramona, and talking about Lanika or what happened. I'm tired of being ignored. Just people dismissing and ignoring me. And I'm wondering what powerful witchcraft spell do they have on me that even other targeted individuals are not listening. They're tuning me out and ignoring me. Which witchcraft spell is put on that everybody's ignoring me or calling me childish for wanting to know who my biological dad, Arthur Grand Prix, is? And guess what other underage family slept to expose? The biological cousin Rebecca Melissa Garnett, whore Rebecca. The stank whore Lanika of the mentally slow, crazy biological family. And it's like, well, even in my biological family, Latoya Monique Thomas from the fake IDMR cult was a hoe and a voodoo witch, a very powerful witch. And she slept with my twin sister, my cousin Blake who died, and the biological brother Wyatt, and was in relationships Well, all three of them, not all at the same time, but there was a point in time when my twin sister set Wyatt up with Toya after Toya been with Blake, and then you know, Blake didn't stay with Toya for that long, but they did sexual stuff with each other, from what I heard. And so Wyatt, even after, I'm surprised there was no beef between Wyatt and Blake. Blake, who's now deceased, though that's the one who got shot and killed and told me that Ramona's a witch, and he told me that I'm not welcome around the family and stuff. So now Blake is gone. But I'm surprised that Wyatt and Blake still stayed friendly with each other, like cool with each other. And Wyatt was with Blake. I'm sorry, Wyatt was with LaToya after Blake. And then in 2007, Wyatt tried to drag me in it, but then try to keep a secret at the same time. And me and him had an all-out fist fight or whatever. No, it wasn't a fist fight, but almost fight. But Wyatt got mad and physically assaulted me over my own computer. And Mark had to break us up in 2007 when we were in Texas, because after Wyatt was in a relationship with Toya, and then Brandy went and took Toya back like an Indian giver. So then Brandy was in, this lesbian relationship with Toya after Wyatt and after Blake. And then I've heard rumors that I don't know is true. The biological mom, Frances, tried to make it like as if Derek, and I know she's lying when she was lying when she was alive. I knew she was starting a rumor and over exaggerating and lying when she said that Sean even slept with Toya, and and so it's like if Sean, I don't think if Sean had sex with Toya, I don't think that'll happen. But Toya, if Mark's supposed to be gay with AIDS, and the biological mom, Frances, even said that Toya had sex with Mark and Derek also, and Derek was rumored to have herpes, and Derek is a woman beater, and so it's like Derek is the foster brother Joe of the biological family. And so it's like so many lives being ruined and destroyed behind sex, behind Freemasonry, behind the occult and stuff. I mean, and then Raymond had a girlfriend. My nephew Raymond had a girlfriend named Robin. And I saw with my own eyes. Raymond was an underage child, 14 years old, dating and having sex with an 18-year-old. And my biological sister Ramona allowed that. She allowed that. But I'm 37 years old, and they think they have the control over me to tell me that I better not drink, or I can't drink alcohol, that I'm not allowed to drink alcohol. Now I have no business drinking alcohol at the age I am. They don't want me to drink alcohol. But y'all, allow your underage child, your underage son to have sex with a grown woman. And then with my own eyes, it was in 2005 before Hurricane Katrina. I saw with my own eyes, during the time that it was the rumor going around, they said Rebecca was hot. It was the big talk of the biological family saying that Rebecca was hot. In the same way they call Lanika hot, like promiscuous and sleeping around. And I saw with my own eyes Blake tongue kiss Robin in front of my face. And I'm thinking, isn't Robin supposed to be with Raymond? But even, so you have so many people around you threatening you not to tell, but they quit to tell on you about stuff. So I feel like if I'm already targeted, why should I stay silent? And I was brainwashed and in that cult, doped up on those psych medications. And this is not about me trying to, and I was going to write this stuff in my books, but I feel like, I'm too exhausted to even write. So it's easier for me to just talk. And, I don't care about your money. I just need basic donations for survival. basic survival. But I'm not trying to get anything big at all. And I'm not trying to profit off this story either. It's not about clout chasing or attention seeking or nothing. It's like I'm hurt and trying to make sense of everything and wishing that I can help, wishing there was a way I can help liberate others who've been going through cults and satanic ritual abuse or Masonic abuse, and just, yes, the Freemason and whoredom and stuff like that could go on in your own neighborhood. And we were wondering how Lanika nobody complained or nobody wondered, how come Lanika I was the only one who would ask, get told to mind my business or whatever. If, Lanika got privileges that other people our age didn't get, and so if she was encouraged and allowed to, she was 17 years old working at Hooters. I thought you had to be an adult. I don't know how old you have to be an adult. But I heard that, and everybody was outraged at that. And, Miss Cheryl, like, if Miss Cheryl they said Miss Cheryl was a wild, promiscuous whore herself. And that lady, Nada Lee Smith, who's the foster mom's supposed cousin further down the street, said that Miss Aaliyah was a wild, promiscuous whore like that. And that she said Mr. Freddie used to meddle in everybody's business, But the same man, yes, Mr. Freddie was nosy too. The nosy, stinking Kraft family, when they're nosy and all in our business and stalk and spy on us and then report everything back to the foster mom. And Joni used to sneak us to the store. And then this is how Joni used to operate. We were still kids, but Joni would sneak us to the store and make a list of stuff that when she babysit Kyle and Ryan or whoever, like Kyle and Kayla or whoever, or babysit April or Shelly's kids, or maybe even Whitney's kids, like Sydney or whatever, and they give her money for babysitting. But then they tell me and Brandy that they would never ever trust us to babysit, that we were never to be trusted. So I was wondering how Joni and Brandy and Mark and Wyatt and Sean and them, if they had such horrible abuse that happened to them, and now they perp me and act like they think they're better. Or, I don't see them that really anymore, but, the perp activity, when Joni's aunt Naomi was excited to see me and hadn't seen me in years, and Joni acted like she wanted to, duck herself away from me. But then she's like good friends with my twin sister though. So, I mean, if they were all still defend Lanika, and shucks, people who weren't even invited to her wedding, or people who Lanika's not even close friends with, what kind of witchcraft spell does she have? And yes, I'm opening my fucking mouth. What kind of witchcraft spell does she have that everybody by default will side with the narcissistic abuser? Lanika was cruel and bragged about her sexual sadism and cruelty towards boys and men. Some people would say that she's a cruel sociopath with a Jezebel full of, a whole bunch of sex demons. That she's a high level powerful witch, probably higher than Rihanna and Beyonce. That all these guys sexually want her. She's not even really attractive or good looking. But I just don't see the hype, and the guys that I call them demand being in control punk hoe fuckers, and they're narcissistic abusers too. So it's like when Lanika's husband last month somebody showed him my Instagram. Why you put my wife out there on public display? Why the hell you put my wife out there on public display like this? Like, if you marry her, then I know you're part of the Masonic cult too, the Masonic voodoo cult or whatever. So y'all put yourselves out there on display with your wild sex parties and whoring that's supposed to be kept secret, though. You know, that if she can put her, show pictures of her ass all on Facebook, and that husband, when he was, she showed a picture of her bare ass on Facebook, and while he's sitting there smiling, looking down at her, and she's been an exhibitionist since childhood, starting from as early as I knew. She was out sexually and act wild, and pull up her pants and pull up her skirt and pull down her underwear. And every man that passed by, she would pull down her pants and underwear and brag about how she mooning these men. Talk about mooning, and then talk about flashing people. When she would show men, and when a man passed by, she would show, every time a man passed by in his car, she would be 12 years old and show her tits and stuff like that. The foster mom and would raise hell if we did something like that. Or I would be dead by now, if I was doing something like that. But, and even if I would have, and then you keep silent, because even if I were to report something like that to the foster mom and be like, well, Mom, Lanika, she was every man that passed by, she shows her tits or she shows her booty hole and her coochie to these men that pass every time they pass by, and then they come and pass by several times, and she wants to act like, oh, Lanika wants to play it off like these. Then she starts to get scared and make like these men are all creepy. The fact that she pulled down her pants and underwear and made sure that her coochie was exposed to these men. When she bend down and spread her legs and bend down and then shake it like as if she want all her coochie to be exposed, and she like 12, 13, 14 years old doing that. And then she start to get creeped out when the men keep passing by in circles, like hoping to see that again. These perverts, And I didn't even know, that had me stoned out, dazed out on those psych medications, like heavily medicated. And so it's not about, some people say that me and my twin sister were MK Ultra, but I don't know, but it's, if you people are trying to say that, a person is clout chasing or just trying to seek attention as a way to deflect from the truth or try to gaslight you and stuff like that. We didn't have phones, we didn't have cell phones back then. Like, people don't believe me, or they say, shut up, or, they think I'm lying when I say the foster mom Ann used to force us to eat out of garbage cans at 3 years old and force us to sleep outside at 3 years old when we were little. They said that was satanic ritual abuse. And then us being locked in a small janitorial closet at 5 years old every day at school by the teachers at school, locked you up in a small janitorial closet. And they said we were bad. But, people who, if Lanika was being abused by her, whether it be her dad, her cousins, or whoever was molesting, all of the people who were molesting her, and it just kept on coming with the grown men and the different relationships. And it looked like she had a different boyfriend every day. And nobody really did anything to stop it. And, if you're not initiated into the occult, Lanika and the other sisters would have been snatched away snatched away and put in foster care a long time ago. And Michelle would have been put in jail. Or anybody else who was complicit. And I was still a child myself. So I was powerless. You can't even expose the abuse that's done to you. Like, if I got kicked off the track team because it was after the situation that happened with the foster mom scapegoated and blamed me, saying it was my fault she couldn't say the last words to her mother when she passed away. And, Lanika she was the mastermind, orchestrated all this while the foster mom was gone. And Andre's dad could have been could have been murdered. And Joe probably could have been locked up in jail. But being a slick liar that he is, and a Freemason and a narcissistic abuser and woman beater. See, Joe, he beats on women. And he wasn't going to fight Andre's dad with his hands. But Andre's dad didn't know anything. And I was there when Joe went and Joni even talked about it, and Andre's dad, like Joe hurried up and got his pistol, and Andre's dad accidentally knocked on the wrong door, and not knowing anything that was going on with his child at all. And so, and back then in the 80s and 90s, people don't do that no more. But in the 80s and 90s, they had times when, slumber parties and sleepovers and, babysitters. You don't even hear about slumber parties, sleepovers, and babysitters anymore. So it's like, I don't know. I forgot to even mention that in my videos when I said I think I became targeted. But and you would think this sounds kind of similar to the drama that goes on in Hollywood in the entertainment industry or whatever, or that goes on in government politics or whatever. And Lanika's, the heartless, soulless witch that she is, just sitting there fucking just laughing. Like, this shit is not funny at all. You're the one who needs something, your head corrected. If you're that sociopathic and heartless that you laugh at people's disadvantages and suffering while you just do nothing but advance and advance and advance and get higher, you need to be stopped. You need to be stopped and you need to be shut down. And you need to be exposed. And you're talking about don't listen to me because I need my medication? I will be listened to in this video. I promise you. I promise you. And, I mean, it's like, I will never forget the time you drive by in a car laughing at me when you haven't seen me in over 14 years. You're a perp. You're a gang stalker, Lanika. And you know it. The whole family, y'all all some Masonic gang stalkers. And Lanika's another one who's surrounded by death. Gets off on death. It's creepy. I hear about these satanic sex death cults. Lanika's apparently rich, but not famous. But, even my biological niece, Monica, she gets certain special deals in life that make me wonder if, and Monica, she looks like as if she shits on this whole world. I mean, and I'm wondering if my niece Monica and the cousin whore Rebecca, if they're part of the Order of the Eastern Star also, if they have Masonic connections, or any other, what are the biological family and the foster family and the Kraft family and the fake called Bible class, people who we went to school with, it seemed like they're all part of the same, probably secret witches coven. And they've been plotting on my death and plotting on, and ignorantly laugh and, plotting on my destruction and my downfall for many years. And this is all part of the gang stalking to eliminate me. And some people said that me and my twin sister were a mind control experiment, and then it's mixed with witchcraft and stuff. And some people be like, well, you're mighty strong because I'm surprised you didn't take yourself out already. Or I'm surprised it's good that you went through what you went through and you're still not on drugs. Or you still haven't given up yet. Or that you're not dead. I mean, I've attempted suicide in the past, but I'm not going to do it now. But, some people who tell me you're stronger than who you think you're stronger than you think you are. So, I mean, in 2018, I went to visit Miss Cheryl and her sister, Miss Lillian. And I remember being ignored and treated like as if my presence wasn't welcome. Now, if the gay brother Mark would have go visit, it would be a whole different story. And I remember Miss Cheryl and Miss Lillian talking about paying Masonic. I mean, well, they didn't mention the word Masonic. but I figure it was Masonic. I never in my life heard of paying dues to a church. Now, I heard of paying tithes to a church, but paying dues, paying church dues, that made me question more. Paying church dues. And so that same New Hope Baptist Church in Gretna, I never attended that church, never set foot in that church. But I looked, and I don't remember if it was the front or the side. It was one of those black Baptist churches in Gretna. And I didn't even realize, being in Gretna, that there were more Masonic churches Masonic churches and Masonic lodges. I didn't realize how Masonic Gretna, Louisiana is, part of New Orleans. And Gretna is very Masonic. And the fake IDMR cult, the leader, Henry Clifford Kinley, was a Mason, a Scottish Rite. So I talk too much, I guess. I talk too much. But I feel better that I got the truth out, but at the same time, I'm scared because what happened to me. But people are already closely following me and gang stalking me and doing evil stuff to me. And and that's what they did. Aaliyah the same thing. Barry Hankerson and R. Kelly and probably other people wanted Aaliyah to be on a close watch, so she wouldn't spill the secrets or tell the truth. And they do this to a lot of celebrities, and these bodyguards are probably handlers or, and paparazzi, the paparazzi, gang stalking perps. The paparazzi are like celebrities' version of gang stalking perps. And that's why Kanye West, even though, Kanye is one of them, he's not one of us. And his daughter, they get mad at paparazzi when they take pictures. Even Michael Jackson and Justin Bieber hated paparazzi. But I remember one time Aaliyah said years ago, she said that it didn't bother her. Like, nothing really bothered Aaliyah either much, supposedly. But maybe she was just under that much mind control. But once you come from under it, then everything bothers you, But, if I wish that Aaliyah would have been here to tell her truth. Aaliyah probably did have that. Tupac was speaking out. And, I wish that Aaliyah, I guess Aaliyah had a little bit subtle speaking here and there of the truth. But Aaliyah, when she was speaking the truth, is her version of the truth is doing the reverse of backmasking, like how you thought how her last album was dark and sexual, but then backmasking, it was talking about her wanting to do the right thing and stuff, and like she reversed their tactics onto them. That was very clever, but some people say it was stupid that she did that because she got killed. But, and then she basically exposed R. Kelly and her abusers in her music. And they said, well, rock the boat backwards, but you wanted Beyonce. That was clear. But I remember hearing Aaliyah's song, the one I gave my heart to, backwards. And it was kind of towards the end of the song I remember hearing, I sold my soul. But I don't think she sold her soul. Her parents sold, her handlers sold her out. And I heard Rashad doing questionable stuff to Aaliyah too. And this girl who turned out to be a perp, she showed me a picture of Aaliyah and Rashad putting their hands on each other's private parts. And I went to try to go look for those emails that girl sent me. I don't even remember deleting them, but I guess they're deleted. But pictures of Aaliyah and Rashad touching each other's crotch, and the girl was pointing out that Aaliyah looked uncomfortable. And you know how weird and incestuous, the Hollywood families are. Like, please don't tell me she was forced to sleep with her own brother. and her own mom, and oh man, just I'm surprised that I didn't break down. Maybe I felt like because I already knew how sick the industry is and stuff, and Rashad admit that he's stranger than fiction. I mean, stranger than friction. You know, that was his bio on Twitter years ago. Stranger than friction. And so it's like Barry Hankerson. How come nobody take a picture? I mean, Miss Diane and Mr. Barry, are they hiding in a cave? You know, and it's like Miss Cheryl Kraft has a lot of similarities with Diane Horton, and she's living her freaking life. But Miss Diane seems like she's hiding somewhere. You know, I don't know. It's like I'm amazed. You know how people might think I'm just fucking crazy and delusional, but I'm not. I promise y'all, I'm not. And you know, I didn't even want to, you know, go too deep because it's more. It's more. But you know, more to the Kraft family. They're dysfunctional themselves. But how the hell if y'all doing dysfunctional stuff? Y'all can't get along with each other. Y'all fuss and fight with each other. I mean, Lanika was sadistic enough to punch guys on the penis and then laugh. And I remember that day, this boy, we were kids, named Alton Randall. And we had to ride the bus, a different bus. And Lanika punched Alton, and then she punched him on the penis. And then, like she went, pow, and then ran off the bus laughing, didn't even get in trouble. That's the kind of stuff she would do. Like she would physically assault people and laugh. And the boy he wasn't even considered mentally, he was mentally normal. And you know, and so, you know, the boy was all crying and stuff like that and bending over like, oh, you know, and she ran off the bus laughing. And, Lanika was the 7th grader who thought she was the 9th grader. And she used to trip me and my twin sister in the hallway with the foster sister Joni's other friends. And I remember, you know, Lanika would make sure that she tripped us in the hallway, and we by default, Lanika puffed herself up about being the most cruel with it. And she would trip us in the hallway and then like make sure when you trip and fall, I mean make sure when you slip, when she tripped you with her leg, when she used her foot to trip you in the hallway, and then when you bust your head against the locker and then she busts out laughing. Like she'll do cruel stuff to you and torture you. Like Lanika would be sadistic and torture people at an underage child. So she would be sadistic and torture people and then laugh. And it's a New Orleans thing that a lot of New Orleans people, children and adults, were like that. That they torture you for no reason and laugh. More than once, I've seen where Lanika would torture and beat her own disabled aunt, Bob, whose real name is Barbara Ann Kraft. And Bob died somewhere in we were in middle school. And I remember she used to physically abuse and beat on Bob and torture Bob and then laugh and think it's funny. In the family, I used to wonder, well, what the hell is that going on? You know, and I don't know why a lot of stuff just went over my head that. And then the foster mom had you afraid to speak up and afraid to not speak up. If you speak up, you get punished. If you don't speak up, you still get punished. Or you get a brutal beating whether you tell or not. So you didn't know whether to keep your mouth shut or to say something. Speak up and say something. And I remember we were in 8th grade. And Lanika had on, back then, my favorite style used to be the nylon wind pants. It used to be like, you know, the nylon wind pants, the jogging pants. And Lanika had on a green shirt and black pants that day. And I remember a year later she was wearing that same outfit. And she was 14 years old and illegally allowed to drive her Uncle John's truck. And then and then Michelle was like, oh yeah, she can drive, she can drive. Like, they just glorifying her and worshiping her, and she ain't the best driver. You know, she drives like the retarded fag Mark, the biological fag brother Mark, trying to self-righteously pretend to be extra careful and stop at every corner, even when there are no stop signs. That's not what you call being a great driver. You know, so I rode in the car with her only one time, and she ain't the best driver. And then when she drove in the car laughing at me in 2017, she was driving with no seatbelt, and then hurry up, and she was speeding, and then she was like, like the old exaggeration, and then she does her lips like when she laughed and ignorantly laughed and stuff. So she drove by in the car laughing, and then was putting on her seatbelt at the same time she passed by me, and driving in a kind of like a metallic blue Nissan Altima. When I told her mom, Miss Cheryl, about it, she was like, "Are you sure that wasn't Talisha?" I'm like, "No, it was Lanika." I said no, because Talisha is the light skinned one. She said, "No, all three of them light skinned." But I couldn't argue with her. But like, what the fuck ever. You just worshiping her because she's your favorite. She's everybody's favorite, yet the most sadistic, cruel, and evil, and never did a good deed for a homeless or a poor person a day in her life. And that's how these narcissistic favorites, even Mildred is just the foster cousin Mildred and the biological cousin Rebecca, all glorified as the heart of the family, but they never done a good deed a day in their life, and everybody just praised them and put them on a pedestal and worshiped them for no reason at all. Like they praised the gay brother Mark for no reason at all. So, I mean, I'm sorry if I sounded kind of jumpy and bouncing around and stuff, and so I found out that New Hope Baptist Church has Masonic symbolism, and Mr. Freddie being part of the International Order of the Odd Fellows or some other, and tell me why the Order of the Eastern Star was invited to his funeral. I don't even remember. I used to have Miss Ollie's obituary, but I think I lost it during Hurricane Katrina. But I didn't even want to go to Miss Ollie's funeral because of the way she treated me, and she didn't care about me. And so then Miss Marion, the other neighbor next door, forced me, well, to psychologically and mentally force me, like made me go to, like, kind of like guilt trip me into, going to Miss Ollie's funeral. And then I didn't, the foster mom, they never really taught us anything and then expect us to have common sense. But I sat in the front, and Chester Craft got mad and cussed me from A to Z and told me I'm not family or whatever. I didn't know that the family was reserved. The front seat was reserved for the family. Immediate family. I didn't know that, and I didn't mean any disrespect. I really didn't know. And the Craft family knew that. I remember overhearing John talk to the foster mom, trying to say, because they crazy. And the foster mom would call me crazy, so she got mad at John and say, well, John said, they crazy. And then the foster mom got mad at him. And then John said, well, not crazy, but got a problem. We weren't born crazy. They try to make us crazy. They try to make us dumb. And I mean, the foster mom think we should speak up about injustices when she does injustice. We're supposed to keep our mouth shut, when she does her dirt. And she'll do anything to protect her son. Like when I was in 7th grade, started 7th grade, and the foster mom kept me from school for a whole week to prevent me from exposing the truth about her son, Joe, physically abusing and beating on us. And this is what the dirty, sick thing Joe had did. And one thing, we were in 8th grade, and Lanika tried to sound sexual on the phone. And Joe the foster family and claimed to be cousins with the Kraft family. And the Kraft family used to even claim us as cousins. So I don't understand. I don't know why Chester did what he did at the funeral. And then when in 2010, Chester saw me on Facebook and said, he put in a direct message, he said cousins with a question mark. And I got mad and I blocked. I thought, remember that situation. I got mad and I blocked them. Like, fuck out of here. Remember, I wasn't any kind of family, at Masonic funeral. And so now all of a sudden, cousins. But Danielle used to call us a cousin, and other Kraft family members used to call me a cousin. But Lanika was the only one who, she used to claim my twin sister Brandy as cousin, but not me. And she used to be like, because you're not my legal cousin. And she used to arrogantly brag and boast about not being my cousin. And I used to, even though we knew they weren't genetically related to us, but we wanted to have some sense of family after growing up. And those ignorant Project Ghetto fake crusty kids at school used to ignorantly laugh and say, well, at least I know who my real mama is. They used to say stuff like that. So if they say that, oh, at least I know who my real mama is and stuff. And that used to hurt me so bad, And so we want to have some sense of family or family belonging to somebody and not feeling like an outcast. And so, yeah, that's how personal this is. That we were supposed to be claimed as their cousin too. But then in 2005, before Hurricane Katrina, Mark had me drive over to Miss Lillian's house. And the rare occasion that Fernell was over there, and Mark showed me on my computer before Hurricane Katrina. He showed me a picture, and I'm like, "Who is that?" And Mark showed me, "Oh, look how Fernell put himself out there like that." I'm like, oh, "That's his genital area with Fernell." I'm like, "Mark, why would you show me which Fernell's penis looked like?" And Mark said that Mark was trying to say, well, I don't look at him like that, So even the biological family being like, oh, like this, if they keep secrets from me or they don't discuss their personal life with me, because y'all all sell out Masonic, y'all all Masonic sellouts, gang stalking perps, all y'all. And so, that's why you keep your damn secrets from me. And so Mark, try to cry and complain to me saying that Fernell was trying to sexually get at him and said, well, I look more at him like a brother. I can't do that, whatever. And so, well, why are you telling me? You keep everything else private from me. Why are you telling me about that, So, I'm wondering if Fernell turned Mark gay because they used to spend a night. Mark said that he felt a little something when he was 12. And Brandy told me that Mark told her a story about how, this boy at the movie theater held his hand. And that's when he decided he wanted to be gay or whatever. So, yeah, it was from Danielle, I think it was, who's Fernell's sister who died. And Danielle was the one who told us that Mark was gay with AIDS. Plus, Mickey, the foster mom, sister Mickey, who's the foster cousin Mildred's mom, Mickey was another abusive tormentor. Mickey starved us in Alabama. She took us to Birmingham, Alabama, and starved us for I don't remember how long. I think it was 3 weeks. She trapped us in Alabama and starved us, and it was abusive. And I got food poisoning. And Mickey didn't care if I died, and Mickey called me stupid when I caught food poisoning, and Mickey probably poisoned my food. Mickey was more evil than Ann, her own sister Ann. Mickey was the youngest, the baby. And so they try to say, the foster mom Ann and Shelley, the foster sister Shelley, they try to say Mickey was mentally ill. Mickey, she didn't break the oath or the code or anything, but Mickey is one of them. And, Mickey was a successful nurse and home health aide all these years. But Mickey talked like she's mentally retarded and slow or something. Like, she talked like this. What you doing in that car? Like, she talked like that, And one time, Mickey the foster mom used to send Mickey over to come over and torment and bully, harass, and laugh at me and act like an in-person version of Stars 15K is how Mickey acted. And Wyatt used to even talk about how Mickey was pure evil. And they said that when the foster dad, Al, had died that night, my twin sister said, Mickey was the nurse that night. She said Mickey was the nurse that night. So Mickey and Ann, I don't even know if Mickey covertly murdered, if Ann hired Mickey to covertly murder Alvia. Alvia Felder. Felder. Al died. Al's birthday was November 29th. I think he was born in 1945. Then he was 47 when he died. It was excuse me, his birthday was December 12th. I'm sorry, he died December 12th. 1992. He died. And then Al and the foster grandma Mildred Collins were cremated when they died. The foster grandma Mildred Collins was dying of cancer, and she had a big tumor in her stomach. And you know, it was just a big mess. And Mildred delusionally believed she had the authority to force everybody in the car to shut up. And she wanted everybody to just shut up that day when I think we were at the foster sister Shelley's house that Saturday, the following Saturday, a week after Lanika hiked up the situation. And Mildred Collins, we found out she died. And we were at Shelley's house. Oh, man. I mean, this is like bringing back freaking memories. I'm sorry, y'all. I mean, I'm sorry, y'all. Mama, keep going. I mean, I didn't even. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, till this day, I still be choking up and sensitive about the foster grandma's death. It hit me so hard. And she was no, I mean, I didn't even realize she was a narcissistic abuser too. But they wait till after you die to praise you as such a good person and everything. But she had her, she was a narcissistic abuser and very mean also. But we supposed to respect her because she was old. And the foster grandma, I remember being 4 years old and licking the plate, and she kept beating me upside the head until I got the hint and stopped, rather than saying, if it was her biological kids or any other kids, she'd be like, no, don't lick the plate like that. That's not proper. But nah, she just kept beating me inside the head until I got the hint to not lick the plate anymore. And that's their way of raising us foster kids who they didn't like. Is to keep beating me upside the head or they keep beating you or whip you until you, or punish you or lock you up in closets until you get the hint. Like the foster mom used to whip me every day coming home from school and never really told me what I did wrong. So, but I'm sorry, I'm just all over the place right now. Not even structured and focused, because I guess these thoughts, this is how the thoughts are coming to me. And everybody gonna be mad at me, but can you get any more mad than you have any increase of madness, anger, or hatred towards me than you already have? I mean, well, I remember myself my twin sister said that, and plus I saw for myself, the foster grandma used to physically abuse and beat on Joni's brother James too, and um, and used to make him cry. And the foster grandma, Mildred Collins, she liked to beat people in the head when we were little. And when you forced to be at her house, the foster mom had us at the foster grandma's house. The foster mom used to have everybody else watch us while she go to work or do whatever. She used to have the craft fan, like Miss Ollie Craft, or she would have well, she would take us to the nursery or the daycare, or she would have Miss Ollie Craft babysit us, or she would have Shelly watch us, or Joni watch us, or have Mickey watch us, or whoever. You know, it seemed like the foster mom herself used to neglect and abuse us. It's like, how is she being paid as a foster parent when she used to have everybody watch us?